varam deva moksham na mokshavadhinva na channang vrineham vare shadapiha deva moksham na mokshavadhinva idante bapurnatha gopal balam idante bapurnatha gopal balam sada me manasya veera sankimanjai sada me manasya veera sankimanjai.
But now we come to this fourth verse. This fourth verse is pivotal. It sits right in the center of the whole Astakam, and it's proclaiming that Satyabrat Muni, who's putting his name to authoring this, but it's actually coming from Narad. It's actually the conception is coming from Narad. He doesn't want anything except this vision of Balya Gopal. So Varam Deva Moksham, he doesn't even want moksha. Na mokshav adimva, na kanyam vrineham varished apiha. Idam te vapu nata gopala balam, sadame manasya avrishtam kim anyai. O supremely effulgent and playful divinity. Krishna plays. That's part of the loving pastimes. Without playfulness, without jokes, Krishna is such a joker. You remember the Chamatkar Chandrika? Those four pastimes that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Krishna jumps into that trunk, that box, and he's carried on the head of Abhimanyu across and placed in the room of Sri Radhika. I mean, how fearless is Krishna to do something like that? And such humor. The whole time he's in the box, he's chuckling. And the whole time Abhimanyu is feeling exhilarated with bliss. He's carrying Krishna on his head in a box. And then as soon as the box comes into the chambers of Sri Radhika, they open it with great happiness, and Krishna jumps out and kisses all the gopis. And then Radharani immediately begins to scold him. She doesn't laugh with all the other gopis, she scolds him because she knows this is what Krishna likes the best. She says, what have you done with all the things that Mother Yashoda sent to Jatila? All the jewels and everything. She must have packed this box with so many valuable things, and you've just stolen them all. Where are they? And Krishna replies, he gave them all to Dhanista Saki, and they're all very safely kept. So, his fearlessness. How can you want moksha when you hear about these sweet personal qualities of Krishna? This is what this Damodarastakam is doing. It's purifying any impersonal conception we might still be holding on to, or any desire just for liberation. What is the purpose of liberation without the relationship with Sri Krishna? In that place of liberation, in the Brahman, there's no sambandha. We've spoken before about this. But this place in Gokul is only filled with the most relishable, sweet sambandha. And we are ineligible to reach that place. But if we hear about that place, if we develop the desire, it's all depending on our greed. Rag Marg depends solely on this greed. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavatamati, Kriya Tomyati Talabhyati, Tatra Lolyam, Api Mulyam, Ekalam. This lolyam, this greed, is the pivotal point of Raganuga Bhakti. That's all we have to do, is simply develop. That means we have to hear regularly these pastimes to inspire the heart to that world of Goloka Vrindavan. We have to hear the brilliance and sweetness and the loving exchanges that the Brijbasis have with each other and with Krishna. O supremely effulgent and playful divinity, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering, the fourth of human goals, moksha. Nor do I ask for the ultimate limit of freedom, residence in Vaikuntha, the abode of extraordinary concentrated happiness. Nor do I seek any other benediction from you, even attaining bhakti, characterized by Shravanam, Kirtan, etc., even though, as the supreme benefactor, you can easily grant all benedictions. O Lord of my life, may your beautiful form of Bala Gopal, a little cowherd boy in Braj, always remain visible within my heart. I have no use for any other benediction other than this. His absolute nishta here is being expressed. This is what this verse is expressing. His complete nishta for Braja Prem. And this is the requirement for the sadhaks in this world who actually want to follow the Ragatmika Gan, the Ragatmika devotees. This absolute fixed attention, this fixed greed. So now the Dig Darshani Tika, Bhavanuvad. The Bhavanuvad is that which is manifesting from Sanatana Goswami's Tika. Sanatana Goswami's Tika is written in Sanskrit here, just for any scholars. Dig Darshani Tika, this is Sanatana Goswami. Now the Bhavanuvad, or the explanation of Sanatana Goswami's Tika by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So he says, up until this point, Sri Satyabrat Muni had been praising Sri Bhagavan by describing the supremacy of his unique characteristics. Now in verse 4, beginning with Varam, and in verse 5, Sri Satyabrat Muni begins to pray to obtain his most cherished object. O Deva means either O supremely effulgent divinity, or O Lord who always loves to perform certain charming pastimes. Here, Braja Isat Api means, even though you can grant any benediction, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering. Moksha, the ultimate goal among the four goals of human life. Prior to Mahaprabhu, most rishis and munis were focused on attaining this goal of moksha, dharma, artha, karma, moksha. These are the principal tenets of religiosity described in the Gyan Kan Shastras. Everyone was focusing on these four principles of moksha because they hadn't heard sufficiently about the sweet pastimes of Krishna to be attracted to him. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusyam deha ashridata bhajate tadrishit kritva yashrutva tatprabho bharvat. Krishna manifests in his human-like pastimes just to attract the conditioned souls to him. That's why he manifests. So, but who was relating? Srimad Bhagavatam was there from 5,000 years before, but who could actually understand the essential ingredient within Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Parakiya Ras? Shukadeva Goswami describes it to some degree, but who could understand that without the manifestation of Mahaprabhu to explain it? Only Krishna himself can put this proposition of the Lord will dance with other men's wives, and he will describe about, actually they're all his eternal Shaktis. They're all actually even his material wives, because he manifests in the Brahma Vimohan Leela as all the cowherd boys, so he marries all of them at that time anyway. But there's another principle here that's most important, is that those gopis, they appear to be breaking all maryad, all dharma, to run to Krishna. That is the extent of their exclusive greed. So we take this lesson from the gopis also. They didn't want anything. They gave up their shyness. A 16-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl is full of shyness. They gave that up to run to the forest to consort with this beautiful young boy in the middle of the night. And they made that decision personally alone. To me, this is a very important point. They didn't all have a group meeting and all decide to hold each other's hands and then run to the forest, the dark, foreboding forest, which they had heard tigers are roaming in the forest, snakes are roaming in the forest, all kinds of 5,000 years ago. So many animals, but none of them are ferocious when they've come into the land of Vrindavan. But still, they could be intimidating for some young girls. And then these young girls, they gave up all their social reputation, their social relationships with their mother and fathers, etc., with the children that they were looking after, with the savers that they were doing, milking the cows or cooking or so on. They gave all that up in the instant because this Purvarag had been building for so many years within their hearts to actually consort with Krishna. Since they were tiny children playing in the dust, they were with Krishna. And then there was suddenly a transition at the Poganda age, at the age of about 4 or 5, when all of a sudden they realized, this is a really beautiful boy. They suddenly had that appreciation of who Krishna, and Krishna realized that simultaneously. It all just becomes alive at the same point. It's a real pastime that's happening here. So this desire, because we read in Venugita, in that chapter 21 of the Bhagavatam, how the gopis are hankering to be in the forest with Krishna. But there's so many social restrictions. But then when they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, they run uninhibited into the forest. So this teaches the sadhak what he must do in this world, to run uninhibited towards service to Sri Krishna. I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering, moksha, the ultimate goal among the 4 goals of human life. Beyond the attainment of ordinary moksha is the attainment of the utmost limit of moksha, residence in your transcendental abode, Sri Vaikuntha Loka. What is Sri Vaikuntha Loka? It's the 4 liberations of Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, Sharsti. These 4, this Vaikuntha, we should understand, is a gloriously liberated condition. It's liberated Vaikuntha. Kunta means anxiety. There's no anxiety. It's completely liberated. And you have these 4 possibilities, qualities. Salokya, same planet. Sharsti, the same opulence. Sarupya, same form. What? Which is the 4th one? Samipya. This closeness to Krishna. Sayuja is the destination of someone like Kamsa when you merge with Krishna, and that's looked down upon by the devotees. But these 4 stages of liberation are there in Vaikuntha, and this was the maximum destination prior to the advent, practically, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Someone of extraordinary character like Bhishma Dev. What was his destination? It was Vaikuntha. What was the destination of Jad Bharat? This is also a Jnani Bhakta. Even Prahlad, he's also a Jnani Bhakta. He goes to the planet of Lord Nrsingadev, serves Lord Nrsingadev there. Eternally, he's serving Lord Nrsingadev. These are beautiful pastimes, and the nishtha they exhibit is of the most excellent height. But it's not as excellent as service in Ayodhya. It's higher than that, because in Ayodhya, Lord Ram is there. Lord Ram has his mothers, Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, and he has his brothers, etc. It's a family situation. So it's an upgrade from Vaikuntha. And then there's Mathura, which is again, these are in Madhurya realm, but they're not in the highest Madhurya realm. The devotees have to understand these gradations very, very well. We have to know the principle of this Aishwarya in the difference to this Madhurya. Without this full appreciation, we can't really enthusiastically make progress. We have to know the distinction. This Madhurya means I will control Krishna, and the Aishwarya means I am controlled by Krishna. So we're just tiny little conditioned souls. We're always thinking that we're being controlled by Krishna, right? So this is Aishwarya. We haven't come to that stage of sweetness, madhurya, but we're hearing about it. We're going to develop the enthusiasm to actually go in that route, because it's the hearing of it that will develop the heart's desire to go there. What is it? Shravanam, hearing, then kirtan, then speaking about these things, then smaranam will come. Shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam. These are the first three principles. So we're going to find that Satyabrat Muni is even rejecting this Navada Bhakti route. Both the attainment of ordinary moksha is the attainment of the utmost limit of moksha, residence in your transcendental abode, Sri Vaikuntha Loka. That abode is comprised of unending, concentrated bliss. I do not even ask you for residence in Vaikuntha, nor do I ask for Ananyan Cha. The words Ananyan Cha, others also, can be understood to mean either the other benediction attained by performing the celebrated ninefold system of devotional service, Navada Bhakti, beginning with the process of Shravanam, hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or simply any other attainment generally considered worth asking for or considered superior by others. However, considering the word Iha in this place, the meaning is, because I am in Vrindavan, I do not have the slightest desire to accept all these benedictions. This is the potency of Vrindavan Dham itself, just by residing in Vrindavan, especially during the month of Kartik. In any of the holy dhams, taking shelter during the month of Kartik can give tremendous benefit, because the whole atmosphere is surcharged with the true reality of Madhurya Prem. And we are going to be influenced by that atmosphere, one way or another. It's going to impact our hearts, knowingly or unknowingly. It's going to manifest some change of consciousness. Everyone who stays here for the whole month of Kartik will certainly be benedicted with some, perhaps even daily, newer appreciation and realization. This is the nature of the holy dhams. They supply the udipan, they supply the inspiration, the stimulus to actually go forward into that realm. But we have to be clear on the realm where we're going forward to. So this Damodarastakam spells it out like A, B, C, really clearly. So I'll read the footnote here, and this is translated from the Bengali edition. At the end of the Digdarshani Tika on verse 3, it is said, among the limbs of bhakti, which are required for all devotees, I only pray to perform one special limb of bhakti, Vandanam, or expressing my adoration for Sri Bhagavan. I do not pray for knowledge of Sri Bhagavan's opulence or anything else. Now in this stanza, it has been said that even the above mentioned limbs of bhakti, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam, and so forth, are also not desirable. So it's an escalation of appreciation for what is Madhurya Bhav. It's increasing from the previous verse. He was performing Vandanam. Now he's saying, I don't even want that. Understand the dynamic of the whole Astakam. The meaning is that from the perspective of gradated excellence, the spruti of Sri Bhagavan's beautiful form within the heart, as revealed only in Vrindavan, is a superior sadhya. This sadhya has to be really clear, totally. At the time of death, when the mind does become bewildered, because all of a sudden it's leaving its body where we've been residing as long as we can remember. And all of a sudden, that's all going to disintegrate and reduced practically to zero. And where are we going to go without that body? What is going to be our direction? What sanskar, what sukriti has impressed itself in the core of the heart to indicate the direction where we want to go. We can say glibly, oh, Radha-dasyam, but what is Radha-dasyam? We have to go into that and into it again and into it again, and so deeply into it. For our whole lives we have to be churning that conception of what does it mean, Radha-dasyam. Because it will increase, it will escalate, it will grow in comprehension of what it is. It will become clarified. And once the goal is fully clarified, then the pathway to the goal becomes so much more simplified. If you don't really know where you're going, how can you go in 5th or 6th gear? You'll be hesitating all the time, doubtful all the time. These doubts will trip us up. They'll waylay us like dacoits on the road. We'll doubt our own adhikar, our own eligibility to enter there. This is where Sri Guru, he gives confidence for this path. I can remember when I first came to my beloved Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, he told me for the first practically 2 years, repeatedly, oh, you are most qualified for this path. He kept telling me again and again, because I, of course, doubted completely that I was qualified for that path. I had come from a world where they hadn't discussed these topics. So he was giving me the confidence, yes, 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 have confidence. This Shraddha Vishvasa. Vishvasa, this faith will give us confidence. When we have faith in the transcendental realities, faith in the Leelas that take place here, for example, in Radha-kunda, in Giriraj Govardhan, in all of Braj, we have full faith in these Leelas, full faith in the characteristics of Balya Krishna even, that we're hearing about. Rock solid. Then all the doubts will just flee away. And then we can go into 5th gear, 6th gear, 7th gear, and make proper progress. The word iha is also related to the latter half of the verse. Here the progressive superiority of the 3 benedictions is self-evident. The Uttarakand of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita clearly explains the superiority of residence in Vaikuntha over moksha. So we're going step by step. Higher than moksha is Vaikuntha. And there's another note here. Actually, this footnote carries on to the end of, well, I'll just keep reading. Previously, Sri Satyabrat Muni resolved to perform sadhan of Vaidhi Bhakti, characterized by Shravan and so forth. However, in this stanza, even the above said Vaidhi sadhan is being discarded because it is devoid of the intense eagerness to serve Sri Krishna, which eventually results in a spurti of his beautiful form. Sri Satyabrat Muni has offered this special prayer through Kirtan Bhakti, saturated by intense attachment and eagerness to serve Radha-kunda Bhakti, in order to bring about the sadhya of perpetually seeing such spurtis of Sri Bhagavan's beautiful form within his heart. This is because without the mercy of Sri Bhagavan, such a spurti will never occur. We described yesterday, our path is avaroha panta, descending. So without that descending mercy on the heart, how can the spurti of Sri Krishna appear in the heart? Without his mercy, we are appealing for that descent of Bhagavan's mercy. It's saying here something extra, and I'll read it. This is an annotation by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Verse 114 and 115 of the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Uttara-kanda, are prescribed herein. You can chant this.
Vaikuntam durlabham muktaihi sandranandachidatmakam nishkama yetu tadbhakta labhante sajjayevatat.
Those who perform bhajan of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, devoid of any personal motive, Nishkam Bhaktas immediately achieve the abode of Vaikuntha. That abode of Vaikuntha is the embodiment of concentrated happiness, and it is made of transcendental cognizance. In other words, it is the concentrated embodiment of Brahm, absolute reality, in his aspect of transcendental consciousness. That abode of Vaikuntha is rarely achieved even by liberated personalities. The deep meaning here is that those who propound oneness with the Absolute and arrogantly regard themselves as liberated souls can never attain that abode of Vaikuntha. So he's describing about Vaikuntha. Okay.
तत्र श्रीकृष्ण पदाब्ज साक्षात् सेवा सुखं सदा
Bahut sada. Go.
बहुधानु भवन्तस्ते रमन्ते धिक्कृतामृतम्.
In Vaikuntha, the devotees who are free from all hankering, Nishkam Bhaktas, perpetually experience the variegated happiness of directly. How does that finish then? Oh, I see. Directly serving Sri Krishna's lotus feet by performing various pastimes with him. They become immersed in an ocean of bliss. The happiness resulting from Sri Krishna's service is the concentrated form of supreme bliss. Compared to this, the Amrita, the nectar of immortality, or the happiness of liberation, seems extremely insignificant. So this is an extra appreciation of this. So it's described that there's a verse, how does it go on? Klesh Agni Shubhada. This is describing what is sadhan bhakti. What is the Klesh Agni? That means suffering. Klesh is suffering. Agni, incinerated. Klesh Agni Shubhada. And then the next, that describes sadhan bhakti. The next what describes bhag bhakti is Klesh Agni Shubhada, moksha lukhuta krit. That even the position of being liberated, I see as completely insignificant. That's the stage of bhav. If we're subtly wanting liberation, then so we should understand this clearly. Something else I was going to say. Oh, about Nishkaram Karma, we understand Nishkaram Karma. Nishkaram Karma was when nothing is for me. I am giving everything to Krishna. But what's the difference between Nishkaram Karma and Shuddha Bhakti? There's a distinction. If you have a donation box and two people, one is practicing Nishkaram Karma Yoga and one is practicing Shuddha Bhakti, they both give $100 in the box. There's a huge difference. The Nishkaram Karma Bhakta is thinking, this is my $100 and I'm giving my $100 to Krishna. The Shuddha Bhakti, he already knows it all belongs to Krishna and he's just returning it to Krishna. That's the big difference between Nishkam and Shuddha Bhakti. We should understand that. Nishkam is a very high platform. It's a very good platform and you do everything for Krishna. All of your wealth, all of your energy, your resources, you're offering to Krishna. This is very commendable, but it's not as commendable as already knowing everything belongs to Krishna in the first place, and I'm simply performing my seva to please him. So there's gradations. Let me come back to here. So the Uttarakhand of Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita clearly explains the superiority of residence in Vaikuntha over moksha, and the performance of Navada Bhakti, the celebrated ninefold system of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, is even superior to that. This is also described in the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Kamam bhavasvavrujiнаир nirayeshu nasta cheto livajyadinute padayorameta vachascha nastula sivajyadi tenghrisho puryetate gunaganair yadi karnarandraha.
This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15-49. Sri Sanatan Kumar and other Kumaras prayed, O Lord, if because of the offense we made by cursing your devotees, Jai and Vijay, we have to take birth in an extremely condemned species or even in hell, no harm, as long as our hearts and minds, like bees, are immersed in relishing the sweetness of serving your lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by glorifying you, just as tulsi leaves are beautified when they are offered at your feet, and our ears are eternally filled with descriptions of all your transcendental qualities. Then we do not care about where we take birth. In other words, may we eternally have the fortune of hearing Shravanam and singing Kirtan about you. So these are the glories of Navada Bhakti, which Satyabrat Muni is going beyond. This statement specifically demonstrates that regardless of where one resides, as a result of his actions, even if he resides in hell, once he has attained final perfection or prema bhakti by appropriately performing the limbs of Navada Bhakti, such as Shravanam, he always experiences the fulfillment of residing in Vaikuntha. Sri Krishna may have asked, if you do not want any of these benedictions, then what is it that you do want? To this question, the sage replies, O Master, may your Balagopal form in Vrindavan, which I have just described, always remain manifest within my heart. Although you are present as the Supersoul, the omniscient witness in the cave-like hearts of all beings, kindly remain manifest in my heart in such a way that you seem to be appearing directly in front of me, and in that way reveal to me the beauty of your entire form. As though Krishna is personally addressing his devotee, he speaks thus, Behold, liberation, residence in Vaikuntha, the eligibility to engage in Navada Bhakti are also exceedingly worthy and rare benedictions. Why not accept them as well? In reply, Sri Satyabrat Muni says, Kim Anyaya, of what use to me are these three boons? In other words, Satyabrat Muni, although these attainments are eagerly sought after by others, they are of no use to me. What is the use of our liberation without seeing Krishna? What is the use of our salokya or somipya, sarupya, if we're devoid of that service to Krishna? Sri Krishna is the essence of all bliss. If one attains him, then everything has been attained. However, the result of obtaining something as insignificant as liberation instead of one's most cherished form of Sri Krishna is only intense sorrow. It is for this reason that Sri Satyabrat Muni has implied that all other benedictions are of no use. Now in the following passages, Sri Sanatana Goswami reveals another meaning of Kim Anyaya. Sri Bhagavan asks the sage, you may not want liberation and other boons, but why do you not accept the benediction of seeing me and conversing with me in any of my opulent four-armed forms like Sri Narayan, a privilege greatly cherished by all? This is in Vaikuntha. In this context, has no use for any other benedictions. He means, I will only experience the great bliss if your Balagopal form, the crown jewel of all beauty, remains forever manifest in my heart and not otherwise. In the Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita's Uttarakhand 2:86-96, we find the statements of Pipalayana Rishi. Therein he extensively discusses the glories of beholding Sri Bhagavan within the heart, Antara Darshan. In the previous stanza, the sage has been singing the glories, stuti of the Lord. Yet this stanza is apparently a prayer, pratana. However, even this prayer has culminated in glorifying Sri Bhagavan. The sage's prayer for inner vision of Sri Bhagavan shows that such vision is the highest goal. And there's a footnote about this. In verse 6, however, Sri Sanatana Goswami cites further examples from his Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita to prove that the superiority of darshan within the mind only applies to jnani bhaktas in relation to Shuddha bhaktas or premi bhaktas. The conclusion is that darshan of Bhagavan with one's spiritually perfected senses is superior to darshan within the mind. Very important point. Very important point. So, I just read that again. In the previous stanzas, yes, pratana. However, even this prayer has culminated in glorifying Sri Bhagavan. The sage's prayer for inner vision to Sri Bhagavan shows that such vision is the highest goal, but ultimately it's not. This should be understood while considering the next verse. So, just as a note, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's written in his Kalyana Kalpataru, a beautiful verse, Vidhi Mag Rata Jane, Swadhinata Ratna Dane, Rag Mag Karuna Pravesh. Krishna eventually bestows the jewel of independence unto those persons who are attached to the path of Vaidhi by allowing them to experience the path of Rag Mag. In other words, it's a progress. If you perform the strictures very carefully of Vaidhi Bhakti and purify your sadhan, then eventually you become eligible to actually perform Raganuga Bhakti. This is one conception. But there is another conception also, even from the very beginning, if you start to cultivate this spontaneous attraction to just simply serving Krishna, that is even higher. So you can come from either stage. You can come from practicing Vaidhi Bhakti and become eligible to perform Raganuga Bhakti, or you can just be spontaneously attracted. But there's got to be a foundation, there's got to be a platform. If it's that Raganuga practice without the platform, without understanding what are the regulations there, then it becomes, as I said before, like a sahajya. It becomes, it goes over the boundaries. It's not going to be pleasing to Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop there for today, and we'll carry on with the Digdarshani Briti tomorrow of this verse 4, which is quite a long explanation. Because actually there are many, many truths in here that Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj has just touched upon, but he hasn't sort of like unpacked, so to speak. So my Gurudev will unpack it. My Gurudev is very, very merciful. He knows how fallen we are, how stupid we are, how much we need that nourishment explained in a very, very simple, loving manner. So that's what my Gurudev will explain tomorrow. So we continue our great adventure into the Damodarastakam, progressing through, and we've reached a pivotal verse, this fourth verse, where Satyabrat Muni is rejecting even Navada Bhakti. He's rejecting, it's as if Krishna is offering him moksha. And we discussed yesterday how the principal goal prior to Mahaprabhu was moksha. And above moksha would have been certainly Vaikuntha, Prem, Vaikuntha Prem. So these three conceptions are being rejected by Satyabrat Muni. So this means a higher consideration is being presented here. So this is where we're up to, this is where we're going, or where Satyabrat Muni in his aspiration is moving to. So today we begin on verse 4. It's page 83 in the Damodarastakam book, the Digdarshani Briti. This is the commentary by my Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Up till now, Sri Satyabrat Muni had been describing the sweet pastimes of Krishna, and specifically the pastimes characterized by Vatsalya Ras. Consequently, his heart had been melting, and he is becoming fully absorbed in them. Sri Krishna is not especially pleased with prayers offered by Lord Brahma or other demigods. On the other hand, if one sings about the pastimes of Sri Krishna's devotees, and especially about the pastimes of the Brijabasis, then Sri Krishna will not only be pleased, but he will even be controlled by them. This is what we're hearing throughout these descriptions of the Brijabasis. Their ability or their potency, because of their affection and love, completely control Sri Krishna. So this was a conception that was not considered previous to Mahaprabhu. Sri Satyabrat Muni then prayed, "O Damodar, your mother has so much affection for you, and above all others, you are by far her favorite. She is the very embodiment of boundless Vatsalya praying for you. With profound motherly affection, she cares for you and nurtures you, considering you to be her dependent child. Naturally, just as a mother's qualities ordinarily appear in her children, her motherly quality of forgiveness and compassion also appears in you. Kindly ignore my offenses, my sins, my anarthas, and my bad qualities, and just be pleased with me. Kindly just grant me your causeless mercy." So this is a glorification of Mother Yashoda. So who demonstrated even more motherly affection than Mother Yashoda? Sachimata for Nimai, young Nimai. Sachimata is the embodiment of Yashoda Ma. She's the embodiment of all the previous mothers. You can remember the pastime in Navadvip when Mahaprabhu, he returns one day and he asks his mother for a garland to offer to Ganga Ma. She didn't have one, immediately ready. He went into the most towering rage. Hard to consider. Damodarastakam Verse describes this in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he breaks everything in the house. He picks up a stick, his mother is hiding in a corner, and he smashes everything in the house, even the bags of drying herbs on the rafters. He breaks all of those. He breaks everything. Breaks the door, breaks the windows, breaks everything in the house. And then he comes out and he starts beating a tree in the courtyard. And then he finally starts beating the earth. And then he passes out on the earth. Meanwhile, what is Sachimata doing? She's just observing what's happening. And as soon as Mahaprabhu, Nimai, passes out, she immediately goes and gets a garland and the oil, and then comes, wipes his face, and when he comes back to consciousness, she gives him the garland, gives him the oil, and tells him to go and take his bath in the Ganga. No admonishing him, nothing. So this type of dedication, motherly dedication to fulfilling her son's desires, I've always thought, I haven't read this in the commentary, but I've always considered that Mahaprabhu was demonstrating this violent act of smashing everything to show the world the extraordinary greatness of Mother Sachi's ability to tolerate that. Mother Sachi had to tolerate so much. Yashoda Ma also tolerated when Krishna went to Mathura. But Mother Sachi, she tolerated when Nimai took sannyas. Already her Vishramba, he had taken sannyas and gone from the house. Her husband had left her, and all she had left was Nimai, and then he left also. So she also is an extraordinary example of the highest Vatsalya Bhav. So this is what we're appreciating here. But we're appreciating particularly today Mother Yashoda's boundless Vatsalya Prem. It is as though Sri Krishna, being pleased by Satyabrat Muni's prayer, had asked the sage to accept his desired boons. And now, in the beginning of this stanza, the sage says, Varam Deva Moksham, na Mokshava Dimva. I do not want liberation, or even the utmost limit of freedom, residence in Vaikuntha-loka, nor have I any need for other such benedictions. Sri Satyabrat Muni prays, O Bhagavan, you are the original Lord of all lords and the source of everything. Therefore you are capable of granting all benedictions. Nothing is impossible for you. Although liberation is the cherished attainment of one who has realized the temporary nature of worldly existence and has consequently become detached, I have no need for the benediction of attaining liberation. There are 5 kinds of mukti described in the scriptures: Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sharsti, and Sayuja. Now there's a footnote here, and I'll read it just to elaborate on these liberation types. So the 5 kinds of mukti grant the following opulences. Salokya grants residence on the same planet as Bhagavan. Samipya grants constant nearness to him. Sarupya grants a form like his. And Sharsti grants boundless fortune similar to his. The 5th type of liberation, Sayuja, is attained at the exclusion of the other 4, as it grants total cessation of the individual ego by merging into the existence of Bhagavan. So the devotees are never interested in this Sayuja Mukti. So these are the 4 principal liberations of Vaikuntha. My Gurudev has written one book called Going Beyond Vaikuntha, and he very much wants us to appreciate the supremacy of Goloka Vrindavan in comparison to Vaikuntha, because Vaikuntha was the dual aspiration of all great personalities prior to Mahaprabhu's advent. It was only with the advent of Mahaprabhu, who is describing the nature of Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's Leela, because no one could understand, there was no access to Krishna's Leela without Mahaprabhu manifesting. Who understood? They understood Krishna as Parthasarthi on the battle of Kurukshetra. They understood Krishna in Dwarka with the Yadus, or in Mathura, in his pastimes like this. These were all broadcast fully. But the pastimes of Vrindavan were very bewildering because they're so heavy and rich in a love that is beyond general conception. This love, this prem that we're hearing about is beyond any kind of understanding that was there previously. But Mahaprabhu, he came with Nityananda and broke open this dam, broke open this conception of Goloka Prem, the highest Prem, Braja Prem and Braja Ras. And he broke this open in such a way that it has been passed down to us through the Acharyas, through Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, etc. It's come down from Mahaprabhu so that we have it in a full fruit today. We can only understand these things in line, in this crumb, in this process. Avaroha Panta. The final cessation of all forms of misery suffered during the endless cycle of birth and death is mukti. Resolving to permanently end their suffering, some people aspire for Sayuja Mukti, merging into the impersonal feature of Brahm. This form of mukti is actually offensive and is fully opposed to bhakti because there's no relationship, there's no sambandha in that place of mukti. Who do you have a relationship in the Brahman? It's just yourself. Being satisfied, Brahmabhuta prasanatma na sochati na kanchati, having no material desires, but there's no relationship. Previously, even the four Kumaras, Sri Sanak, Sri Sanandan, Sri Sanatan, and Sri Sanat Kumar, desired this kind of mukti. And again, there's a footnote here that's very helpful to read. In Sanatan Goswami's Digdarshani Tika, the prayer from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.15.49, beginning with Karmam Bhava, is spoken by the four Kumaras during their first direct darshan of Lord Narayan at the gates of Vaikuntha. Needless to say, by the time they spoke that prayer, they had long since abandoned their desire for Sayuja Mukti, because they had darshan directly of the Supreme Lord. So that will wake up that sambandha instantly. So any idea of anything separate from him, just like Satyabrat Muni's prayer all the way through, is increasing for the darshan, the proximity of Bal Krishna. He wants to be with Krishna. So it's all this deepening these different rasas, different relationships from Dasi to Sakya, Vatsalya. This is where the progression is. However, as Sri Satyabrat Muni prays for his desired boon, he discards the goal of moksha, Sayuja Mukti, with the words Varam Deva Moksham. And with the words Na Moksavadim Va, he expresses that he does not even want the unending, concentrated happiness of residing in Vaikuntha, the ultimate limit of freedom. We have to, in our hearts, be able to reject. I described yesterday these stages of sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. Klesh Agni Shubhada describes the sadhan bhakti, and Moksha Lokhuta Krit describes bhav bhakti, that I look with insignificance upon moksha. Sri Krishna Kashani Chasa, this Sandra Anandan Visheshatma, Sri Krishna Akashani Chasa. This is the stage of prem. So these three stages, sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. So in the stage of bhav bhakti, there's not even a smell, not even a scent of desire for my own liberation or my own even sense gratification. Even in the stage of asakti, this stage after ruchi. In asakti, it's when this intense greed has just captured the heart, moving towards the stage of bhav. There's not even a smell for my own sensual pleasures, etc. What to speak of wanting mukti or cessation of all the miseries of this world? Not even thinking about that. We should carefully consider the meaning of moksha svadin. Unlike Sayuja Mukti, the other four kinds of mukti are not entirely unfavorable to bhakti. Those who accept these four kinds of mukti exist within the realm of Vaikuntha in two classifications. One class, Swa Sukhaishwarya Uttarya Moksha, the desire for one's own happiness and opulence predominates. This is in Vaikuntha even, our own happiness. Whereas in the other class, Prem Seva Uttara Moksha, one's longing to render loving service to Sri Bhagavan predominates over all other desires. This is the point. This is the point we're looking to reach, where this desire to please the Lord with our loving service predominates over everything. Those who long for Prem Sevata Moksha never desire the inferior Swa Sukhaishwarya Uttarya Moksha. The example of the four Kumaras illustrates this. When the four Kumaras experienced the fragrance of the tulsi leaves that had been placed upon the lotus feet of Sri Narayan, they utterly abandoned their previous desires for impersonal liberation. They at once became Jnani Bhaktas, devotees who have knowledge of the Lord's absolute divinity, and began seeking after Prem, Sevatara, Moksha. So this mood of completely only wanting to serve and please the Lord, just like we're hearing about Mother Yashoda, we're hearing about the gopis, we're hearing about all the Brijvasis, even the Sakas, the cowherd boys. They had no other desire. It's described that Sridham Saka, he would pray to the moon to quickly finish his orbit so that he would be with Krishna again in the morning. And Subal never lets go of the hand of Krishna, even in his dreams. These Sakas, they love Krishna with every atom of their being. But this is still a certain stage. It's not the highest stage, but still this realm, this world of love. This is the world that we're entering, which is in so much contrast to this material, conditioned world where we stay, this illusion, where there is no love. We might say, well, the love of a mother for her child, but that is completely conditioned because it's her child. The mother wouldn't rise early in the morning to feed all the other children in the street, but she'll do it for her own child. So there's a selfishness there. So that's the highest form of love in this material world. Sudha Bhaktas, however, have one-pointed attachment for the loving service of Sri Krishna. How to develop this? This is the goal of our lives. And this goal can be fulfilled the more we hear Leela Gatha. We need the tattva to substantiate the platform, to put us on track, to put us out of the illusion of trying to exploit the material energy. We must have that tattva. But that only wants to render loving service to the Lord. So this is the principal goal. Shuddha Bhaktas, however, have one-pointed attachment for loving service to Sri Krishna. They do not even aspire for Prem, Sevatara, Moksha, wherein some desire for one's own happiness still remains. When Sri Bhagavan offers such one-pointed devotees either of these classes of moksha, they never accept. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Bhagavan says, Dhyam anam na grananti vina mat sevanam jana. A pure devotee never accepts any kind of moksha, even if I personally offer it to him. Facebook stream has stopped.
It will come in 1 minute.
Yes, but it's got finish here. Should I touch it?
It will take a minute by itself.
You cannot do anything.
Huh? I cannot do anything.
When this happens, you have to wait.
Okay. So if anyone's watching Facebook or wants to send a message to Facebook,
They will get a frozen screen for 1 minute. But
yeah,
when
it's
it with
frozen.
you will automatically.
Okay, so the Facebook is clonked out probably because of the fan. I don't know. So, but if anyone wants to send a message to a friend on Facebook, they can say that the YouTube one is still working. I don't know that this is going to actually go. I think I have to finish it and start it again on the Facebook. Yes or no?
It's just a technique. We cannot do anything. We have to wait.
Okay.
The connection will improve by itself.
It's
Yeah.
YouTube is working.
Yes, I know.
YouTube is working.
We all know that.
Only Facebook I will check.
Now it's closed. I'm just going to say, go into here and do the usual thing. And then I'll start the posting. Okay, I'm going to start, excuse me, on YouTube. I'm just having to start the post again. On Facebook. Description. Okay, well, okay, excuse me, on YouTube. We've just started again. So, welcome on Facebook. I'm just trying to reconnect again with a new stream. So we're still in YouTube. I'm going to start this paragraph again because there was so much disturbance. Shuddha Bhaktas, however, have one pointed attachment for the loving service of the Lord. They do not even aspire for prem sevotara moksha, wherein some desire for one's own happiness still remains. When Sri Bhagavan offers such one-pointed devotees either of these classes of moksha, they never accept. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:29-13, Sri Bhagavan says, Dhyamanam na garananti vinamat sevanam jana. A pure devotee never accepts any kind of moksha, even if I personally offer it to him. This is the whole crux of this verse, Vanamdeva moksha. The unalloyed devotee's only desire is to engage in loving service to Sri Bhagavan. In the history of Ritrasura, narrated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ritrasura rejected all varieties of moksha and prayed to be able to render service to the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan.
Nanakaprushtham na chaparyameshtyam na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va samanjasatva virahasya kangshe.
Very good. Nice melody. Thank you. O ocean of all good fortune, apart from serving your lotus feet, I do not wish for anything. I do not wish to obtain the summit of heaven, Dhruvaloka, the Vaikuntha planet situated at the zenith of the material cosmos, nor the highest seat of power within the universe, the seat of Lord Brahma, nor have I any desire for sovereignty over all the earth, nor sovereignty of all the planets, down to Rastalaloka, which are flooding with sense enjoyment. I do not long for mastery over all the yoga siddhis, nor even for the end of repeated birth and death, moksha. This is Vritrasura. This is the first conception of pure love that's actually introduced into the Bhagavatam by Shukadev Goswami in the 6th canto. Vritrasura, previously of course, is Chitraketa, and he has darshan of Sankarshan, and he worships Sankarshan as his Ishtadev, and he is completely, fully on the highest platform of devotion. And in his prayers in front of Lord Indra, he's rejecting any sort of moksha. Because we should understand the Devas, they have actually no real conception of these topics of Shuddha Bhakti. The Devas, I've said so many times, their spiritual master Brihaspati is being described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as being Brahman realized. So if you're Brahman realized, then what about all your followers? They also will want to be Brahman realized. So we know that in their very, very responsible positions, the Devas, they are in that position, this Bhoga Yoni. Swagaloka is a place of pleasure, Bhoga, a species of pleasure, Bhoga Yoni. So they have tremendous opulence, personally, and they have that because they have to do tremendous service as masters of this material world for distributing fire, air, etc., the water. This is all arranged by the Devas themselves, and they're completely dharmic, but their ability to actually leave that dharma, it's impossible for them to leave that dharma. It's like impressed within them because they have such massive services to do that are connected with that dharma. Can you imagine if Surya Dev suddenly didn't want to orbit the Earth, the planetary system for a day? What would happen? You know, if Vayu decided to take a break, if the air stopped, which he did at one point, when his son Hanuman got punched in the mouth by Indra, then he took his son into a cave, and it was very miserable, and all the air in all the planets stopped as a result, and then all the devas came and offered great prayers and glorification to Vayudev, and then he was pacified and began to distribute the air again. So they have these huge responsibilities which are encased in a mood of dharma. All the demigods are like that. So as far as bhakti is concerned, that's practically vacant for the devas. And they even see Vishnu, they see Krishna in the form of Vishnu. Regularly he comes, but they don't have that loving attraction to him, to serve him. They just think he's the greatest, most powerful personality. They don't have the sambandha. In the same way, Sri Satyabrat Muni is not even asking for a boon related to the ultimate limit of moksha, residence in Vaikuntha. Devotees are so fortunate we can understand this whole cosmology, you know, through our philosophy. We understand the earth planet, we understand Swagaloka, we understand even all the different planets in Swagaloka, the different personalities in Swagaloka, then across from Swagaloka, across the Viraja River, into Siddhaloka, then beyond into Vaikuntha. Now we're hearing about Vaikuntha and its regions, etc. It's like the devotees are really like cosmic souls. And then beyond even Vaikuntha, into Ayodhya, into Mathura, Dwarka, beyond there, into Goloka Vrindavan. And all these gradations are very important for the devotees to meditate on and appreciate. We are here, and Goloka Vrindavan, where is that? My all I have to do is simply cultivate that aspiration to reach that goal. That's all I'm capable of doing practically in this life. To cultivate the desire to come to Goloka Vrindavan, particularly as a maidservant of Sri Radhika. This is the desire that we've been offered by Sachinandan Gaurahari, if we want to pick that up as a manjari. That's what he's giving. Mahaprabhu is giving that specifically, not giving Sakya Rasa or anything. Satyabrat Muni continues, Na cha anyam. Furthermore, I have no desire to obtain any other benediction. By the word anya, other, in this phrase, Sri Satyabrat Muni implies, I do not even want the result of performing the 9 kinds of Vaidhi-Navada Bhakti, hearing about Sri Bhagavan's Shravanam, chanting his names, Kirtan, remembering him, Vishnu Smaranam, serving his lotus feet, Padasevanam, worshipping him, Archanam, praising him, Vandanam, maintaining the attitude of serving him, Dasya, nurturing a friendship with him, Sakya, and submitting one's very self to him, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the 9, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are the 9 Navada Bhakti. And Satyabrat Muni is saying, I'm not aspiring for that path. His response astonishes Sri Krishna, who then asks, the 9-fold system of devotional service, Navada Bhakti, has been abundantly praised in the scriptures, yet you do not want to accept even that? What then is your desire? Understand this progression. This is a very powerful verse, this 4th verse. As I say, it's like a pivotal verse. It's really opening the door to the entirety of the path of bhakti. What sort of bhakti are we engaging in? What is our sadhya? What is our goal? What is it that we want, ultimately? We have to consider these things. I think by hearing these prayers, by hearing these descriptions, it wakes up contemplation of these topics within us. This is its purpose. The commentaries are supposed to wake up contemplation on it. What then is your desire? Then Sri Satyabrat Muni utters his prayer. My only desire is that your form of little Balagopal manifest in my heart forever. That small cowherd boy who is afraid of his mother and who is looking here and there with fearful, suspicious eyes. In the phrase, Varished apiha, Vari ishat api iha. The word iha means here or in this place. Thus the sage is praying, may your form as a little cowherd boy, which is present here in Vrindavan, appear within my heart. I have no need for any other benedictions besides this. This is the particular limit in verse 4. In verse 8, it transitions even higher. But right now, this is the stage where we're at. The form of Balagopal will only appear in one's heart as a result of prema bhakti, smaranam of Sri Krishna, do not care if they go to heaven or hell. Their only desire is to engage in cultivating prema bhakti under the guidance of Tattva Gyan Rasik Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas who have realized the absolute truth and who are expert in relishing loving emotions. It is therefore said,
Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrucho Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayeda Kila Mritchupadesha Saram.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very nice. So much different with the melody or potency. The Bhakti Sadhaks, this is from Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami. This is the heartbeat of Upadeshamrita. The Bhakti Sadhaks should perform kirtan and smaranam, remembrance of Sri Krishna's name, form, character, and pastimes. Thus they should gradually engage their tongues and minds, withdrawing them from absorption in sense objects which cause aversion to Sri Krishna. We were reading beautiful pastimes or writings by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj the other day, and he said it's like, are we at war with the Absolute? As soon as we feel aversion to Krishna's mercy, it's like, or we are seeking our own sensual pleasures, this is like we have created a war with the Absolute. It was a very beautiful essay. Residing in Braj Mandal, they should follow in the footsteps of Sri Krishna's associates who have deep attachment for him and fully utilize every moment of their time like this. This is the essence of all teachings. This is the final essence by Rupa Goswami, this verse. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10, 47, 58, this is the Brahmara Geet. This is when Uddhav visits. Sri Uddhav says,
Etah param tanubruto bhuvi gopavadhvo govinda eva nikhilatmani rudha bhavaha vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayancha kim brahma janma bhirananta kadhara rasasya.
Beautiful. The young wives of the Gopas, embodied here on earth, lead the topmost lives because they have Mahabhav, or full-blown, selfless love for Sri Govinda. This is Uddhav speaking. Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta. He's come from Mathura, or Dwarka, and he's just astonished. They were thinking in Dwarka and Mathura that they had the highest excellence of affection for Sri Krishna, for Mathuresh Krishna, Dwarkadish Krishna. And this is why Krishna wanted Uddhav to come and witness the extremity of the gopis' prema for Krishna. Unprecedented. And Uddhav, who is brilliant, he's like in the school of Brihaspati as far as his knowledge is concerned. Uddhav means a festival of joy. He looked even like Krishna. He's Krishna's cousin. His father is the brother of Krishna's father, Vasudeva, and Deva Maya, Deva Bhag, they're brothers. So he's a cousin. And he's come to Vrindavan and he's witnessing the extremity of the gopis praying. My Gurudev always used to describe that he's looking up at the gopis praying and his hat falls off the back of his head because it's so high. He can't even begin to see the height of the gopis praying. Get that example that it's so high. And Uddhav is already high, it seems, by my Mathura estimation or Dwarka estimation. He's like the principal mantri, minister in Dwarka. Everyone loves him so much. But when he witnesses the gopis, he's totally astonished. Lead the topmost lives because they have Mahabhav, or full-blown selfless love for Sri Govinda, the very soul of all. Their pure love is sought after by those sages who fear repeated birth and death, as well as by us. What is the use of being born, even as Lord Brahma, if one does not have any taste for hearing the nectarian descriptions of Sri Hari? Vritrasura also prays that he may gain the association of the Vaishnavas and cultivate prema bhakti under their guidance.
ममोत्तमश्लोकजनेषु सख्यं संसारचक्रे भ्रमतस्वकर्मभिः त्वमायया त्वमात्मजदारगेः स्वासक्तचित्तस्य ननाद भूयात्.
This is from the 6th canto, 11th chapter, 27th verse. O Master of my life, I am not seeking liberation. I am not concerned if I must repeatedly roam about in this vicious cycle of birth and death as a result of my actions. However, wherever I go, in whichever species I take birth, please grant me the loving friendship of your dear devotees, for in their association I can cultivate prema bhakti. My Lord, I only pray that I will not have to mingle with those who, bewildered by your illusory energy, illusory potency, are always attached to their bodies, homes, children, families, and so on. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays exactly the same way in many of his bhajans like that. If I have to take birth as an insect, let it be in the house of a Vaishnava. Always wanting this Vaishnava association. Without the Vaishnava association, we're just going to be influenced onto the bodily platform immediately. If we have to, association means, many times we have to be with people who are not Vaishnavas. But association means that you open your hearts. If you open your heart to a non-devotee, they will never understand what you're saying. They cannot understand what you're saying because they believe they're the body. They believe that the sum and substance of their lives is to make the material body happy. So there's no way that they can ever actually comprehend someone who's understanding that I'm not the body and my highest aspiration is beyond this material world. They have no connection with that. So if you reveal your innermost thoughts to a non-devotee, it'll be very bewildering because they'll probably just be brutally offensive or something of that nature also. So we must be cautious there. I know it's a difficulty sometimes. If devotees are living alone, they're naturally friendly by nature, devotees, and then they make friends with so many people. But what is the nature of that friendship? It's just material. Lokik sambandha. It's just on the material platform. And they should know clearly that it is material, not imagine it's on some spiritual platform. Although the position of Navada Bhakti is so elevated, Sri Satyabrat Muni has no desire for it. Why? Sri Sanatana Goswami reconciles this wonder. He explains that the fruit of one's practice of Navada Bhakti depends upon the nature of one's practice. When the 9 limbs of Bhakti are performed according to Vaidhi-marg, the path of strict adherence to scriptural regulations based on fear, they enable the sadhak to attain Vaikuntha. Yes, once Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada wrote a beautiful essay about Vaikuntha. And before it was edited, it was actually published to some degree. So in his, he made the expression that in Vaikuntha, they have a mood of inferiority complexity. That's how he described it, which means they think they are so much less than Krishna. That inferiority, that mood in Vaikuntha is there. Krishna is so great, and I am so insignificant and small. That doesn't create an equation of beautiful, loving exchanges when there's that dynamic. Someone is so great and someone else is so small. There's a feeling of inferiority towards the Supreme. The Sakhas never feel inferior to Krishna. They feel they can beat Krishna anytime. They fight with Krishna. They can run faster than Krishna sometimes. They don't ever have that feeling. The gopis in particular know that they can control Krishna, especially Radhika. She has him round her little finger, so to speak. In anything that she does, and Krishna is happy by that. Krishna is satisfied by that. This is all about Vrindavan. This is about Braj. This is about the Brajbasis. This is about prem. This is what our meditation contemplation should be. On the other hand, when the same limbs of bhakti are performed in ragmarg, the path of spontaneous love, they enable the sadhak to reach the abode of Vrindavan, where they attain loving service to Krishna. Loving service to Sri Krishna. It is important to carefully understand the meaning of rag. Rag is defined as one's attraction to an object. If the soul's inherent capacity to be attracted is directed towards Sri Krishna, if he becomes the exclusive object of that attraction, it is called Ragatmika Bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has defined Ragatmika Bhakti in the following verse.
Ishte swarasaki ragaha paramavishtata bhavet tanmaya bhavet bhaktihi satra ragatmikodita.
Rag is the unquenchable loving thirst for the object of one's affection that in turn gives rise to spontaneous and intense absorption in that object. Devotion that is performed with such rag is known as ragatmika. So this is a very, very deep topic, and I think I'll leave it here today. This last translation of this verse is very profound. I'm going to read it one more time. Rag is the unquenchable loving thirst for the object of one's affection that in turn gives rise to spontaneous and intense absorption in that object. Devotion that is performed with such rag is known as Ragatmika Bhakti. So this is our aspiration. So we'll continue with this amazing topic tomorrow. My Gurudev really unpacks and opens this topic brilliantly. This Damodarastakam can really carry us to a very high stage of consciousness. But I'll stop there today and we'll carry on tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Dandavats. So we've been discussing Damodarastakam, and we've reached a very powerful place where in the 4th verse, Satyabrat Muni is rejecting even Navada Bhakti. He's rejecting moksha. He's rejecting Vaikuntha Prem. And he exclusively wants Bala Gopal in the core of his heart. So these are very powerful, intense topics, really and truly, showing clearly the speciality of Braja Prem. But what we must do, and not neglect for a second, is to understand where this prem, or how this prem has manifested for us at this time without putting firmly Sachinandan Gaurahari in the prominent place of our meditation, nothing else will transpire. We understand Mahaprabhu has come specifically for 4 reasons for his advent. I want to go through this a little bit at this point because we need to have firmly Mahaprabhu on the map, so to speak, at this time, because we're going right into Braja Prem, right into the feelings of the Brijbasis, and all of this has manifested only through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu manifests. His first reason for manifesting, always the first reason, if ever we're asked why does Mahaprabhu come, is to taste prem. Prem ras niryase korite ashvada. This was the principal reason for Mahaprabhu's advent, is to taste prem. This is why he's come. He's come to benedict the holy name. That's the 4th reason. There are other reasons. The second reason is to give this Braj Bhakti to the world. This Swabhakti Shriyam, to give this to the world. Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. This is the verse of Srila Krishna's Kaviraj in the 4th chapter of Adi Lila. So very, very clear. The first reason he comes is to taste his... As Krishna, he couldn't taste the same degree of prem as the gopis, what to speak of Radharani. Because he's the Vishaya. He's the object of everyone's attention. He's the object of everyone's attraction. And we give the example many times of sugar. Sugar is so sweet, and everyone's enjoying sugar, but what about the sugar itself? Where does it get its taste from? How is sugar going to get an experience of bliss itself? So Krishna is like that. So we must have this very clear. Mahaprabhu's reasons for adventing in Krishna Lila. Krishna is called Lila Purushottam. He tasted the Leelas, but he didn't taste beyond the stage of Mahabhav. Beyond the stage of Mahabhav, there are 2 further stages, the Ruda and Adiruda, which the gopis experience. So their bliss is of course higher than Krishna's because they're tasting Krishna. So we have to be rock solid, clear on what is our foundation here for entering into these very rasik, sweet, confidential topics. Where are they coming from? And when we appreciate that, then it makes us so much aware of our immense fortune to be born at this particular time, to receive these teachings. And where are these teachings coming from? They're coming from Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is unpacking all these teachings from Mahaprabhu. So the first 2 reasons are Krishna wants to taste his own prem through becoming the Ashraya. That's why he takes the Bhav and Kanti of Sri Radhika. And then he wants to distribute this mood, this Bhav, to the conditioned souls. What does he want to distribute? He wants to distribute ultimately, it's called Swa Bhakti. Swa means own, Bhakti. Krishna's own Bhakti, Shriyam. What is the beauty of Krishna's Bhakti? Krishna's Bhakti is Sri Radhika. And the beauty of Sri Radhika are her manjaris. This is her extension of her beauty, are the manjaris. And the manjaris, they taste the same height of bliss as Sri Radhika when they're serving directly in the kunj. They become tadatmik with Sri Radhika. And this very exalted stage is benedicted only at this time by Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu has come to give this. Those are the first 2 reasons. The third reason is to answer the call of Advaita Acharya. That is the third reason. It is not the first reason. Mahaprabhu has his own independent nature. Krishna has his own independent nature. He wanted to taste the prem that he wasn't able to access as the Vishaya in Krishna Lila. So he became like the Ashraya in Gaura Lila. You have to understand it completely, solidly. And then the fourth reason he came was to give the holy name, which will empower us all, conditioned souls, to enter into these topics. But that's just the beginning. The holy name is like the beginning. It's like it purifies the consciousness. But then we have to know, where is it taking it? What is the sadhya? Where is it taking us to? Yes, we can chant lakhs of rounds for years and years and lifetimes even. But if we don't comprehend the sadhya, if we don't know where is it actually going, then what is going to be the ultimate result of that? Perhaps you'll decide to go to Vaikuntha, or less even, Brahman liberation, or Ayodhya. So many destinations are available for the jiva. Mahaprabhu is specifically giving this. And another point that I've mentioned many times before, but I've never presented the praman for it, which I'm going to today, that this Rag Marg that Mahaprabhu benedicted the world with was never previously experienced. There was Jayadev Goswami in the 12th century. I've been corrected before, I was saying the 9th century, but it's the 12th century. I was hearing and understanding that it was the 9th, but it's actually the 12th is what I've understood now. Lakshman Sen was the king at the time, and his reign was in the 12th century. So Jayadev Goswami was such a rasic personality, but he could not write that famous verse, Smaragarala Kandanam, Mama Sirasi Mandanam, Dehi Padapalavam Udaram. He couldn't write that Krishna was putting his peacock feather and flute at the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. Why? Because that conception of parakia had not become acceptable in the world. Shukadeva Goswami writes about it, but who understood it at the time? It's there in the Bhagavatam, but who could actually comprehend it and sit comfortably with the fact that Krishna had the audacity to dance with other men's wives? Who could understand the full sublime truth of that? Only when Mahaprabhu manifests are we able to actually access this. So everything is gifted for us in the realm of Raganuga Bhakti by Sachinandan Gaurahari. It was not there previously. And this is from Raghunath Das Goswami, from his Stavavali, his Chaitanya Astakam. He's saying, this is verse 4 of the Chaitanya Astakam. Will the son of Mother Sachi, who very mercifully revealed in Bengal the vine of devotion, which bears the fruits of Ujjvala Prem Ras. These are the fruits of the vine of devotion that Mahaprabhu manifested. The flavors of amorous love, which is hidden in the Vedas. It's there, of course, in the Vedas, but it's hidden. And which was not previously known even to wise men who were expert in devotion to God. Like the Alvars, for example. They're considered to be great, great devotees of the Lord. But did they understand about Rag Marg? These are very, very, very confidential topics. Try to appreciate historically what a jewel we have at our fingertips right now. So this is from Raghunath Das. He says, will he cross the path of my eyes again? So there are other personalities previous to Mahaprabhu, Jayadev, Chandidas, Vidyapati, but none of them comprehended the purity of parakya. Unless we understand the purity of it, we can't really embrace it. If we think, because in this material world, it's the most abominable activity. To take someone else's wife is the most degraded act that we can perform. It's totally adharmic. It's what the demons do all the time. We see. It's demonic. So how are we supposed to transition across from that into the sublime, pure appreciation of Parakiya? When we understand deeply, for a start, these are all Krishna's Shaktis, billions of Shaktis. And they're demonstrating the nature of their full submission and Sharanagat to the Supreme Lord. It's described in the Bhagavatam because Parikshit Maharaj, he asks this question. And we've spoken about it before. There are these 7 reasons. One of them is Krishna is like fire, that nothing can be contaminated. You can put a dead body on fire, in the fire, and it's not contaminated. Similarly, Krishna is like that. He cannot be contaminated. Why would Krishna do something that was not absolutely pure? But more than just the purity of it, which carries us to a certain degree of utter respect for it, is the sweetness of the Braja play, the Vrindavan pastimes. And this is what we're hearing in Damodarastakam. This is what we're hearing. Every day we're hearing the most amazing pastimes. So we see in this Damodarastakam how it's escalating. We started off with the Mangalacharyan, Namamishwaram Satchit Anandarupam, establishing the platform of the Supreme Lord. And then we went straight into the Leela. Satyabrat Muni goes straight into the Leela. Krishna's earrings are swinging on his cheeks, and he's running from his mother, and he's caught from behind. So all these are deep considerations. That mother has to run faster than baby Krishna. We have to run faster towards Krishna to achieve him today. This was the commentary, in the commentary, saying like that. We have to be more enthusiastic to come to Krishna than have the expectation of him being enthusiastic to come to us. Why should Krishna come? There are billions, trillions of conditioned souls. Why is he interested to run to one particular conditioned soul? But if that conditioned soul is hearing about Vrindavan, talking about Vrindavan, remembering the pastimes about Vrindavan, that's immediately going to attract him. That verse we said yesterday, we went through Sadhan Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti, and Prem Bhakti. Kleshagni, Shubhada, Sadhan Bhakti. Mokshaluk Hatakrit, Sudulabha is Bhav Bhakti. And then Sandra Ananda, Visheshatma, Sri Krishna Akashani Chasa. This last line means this prem will attract Krishna. Krishna will become attracted by that. But what I'm just sharing tonight, because I think it's so important, that because we're in a very sweet, sweet place of this Damodarastakam, and it's revealing many aspects of the Raganuga path, and we have to be rock solid on where that has manifested from. It's only come from ultimately actually Madhavendra Puri. And then from Madhavendra Puri came to Ishvara Puri, and then Mahaprabhu. But it's come from the desire of Mahaprabhu. What was his 3 desires? Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Swadyena Buddha Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadya Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Vatiloba Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachi Garbo Sindhu Harindu. These 3 desires to understand the glories, the Mahima of Sri Radha. Krishna wants to understand the glories of Radha's love, which are so immense. Where we read this 14th chapter of Jaivadama, we really get a tattvic appreciation of that. And then he wants to understand this Adbhuta Madhurima, these astonishing sweet qualities in himself that only Radhika can understand so fully because of her immense affection and attraction to him. Because she loves him so much, she can see these immense, the immense sweetness, Madhurima, Adbhuta Madhurima. She can see that. Just like sometimes we say the example of a mother can see all the glorious qualities in her son that other people can't see, because she has so much attraction and affection for him. So she sees all these. So Radhika, she sees all these qualities in Krishna that practically no one else. Krishna wants to taste that. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as he's such a personal personality. Because when we come to the third verse of this Astakam, Radha-kunda, this blissful pool of pastimes, we've described in the third verse. There are so many pastimes were described. 12, 13 pastimes were described by the commentators in the third verse. We had Shiva, the yogi, coming. We had Putana was mentioned. Fruit seller was mentioned. All these personalities. This is called Swarasiki Upasana. This is when a flow, a crowd of pastimes is just flooding in the consciousness. The verse before was Mantra Mai Upasana. Was just when Mother Yashoda had caught Krishna. Krishna's Rudanta Muhur. He's rubbing his eyes again and again. This is the second verse. And he's trying to make tears come. Or he's wiping the tears that are actually coming. So this is, again, focusing so personally on this personality. So we want, our prayer is to fall fully in love with this personality and watch how the current of rasa evolves to the end of this Astakam, which is ultimately going to crown it with Sri Radhika. That's going to be the culmination on the 8th verse. That Satyabrat Muni has reached a place where he's chanting about Sri Radha. So what does that indicate about his Staibhav? We said at the beginning that when Narad was speaking to Sonaka Rishi, this pastime, that Sonaka hadn't got his Staibhav fixed in his consciousness yet. He wasn't realizing what that was. The Staibhav is fixed, but actually which direction it goes after it's fixed can be depending on association. So sometimes they have debates, was it inherited or inherent? It's both. It's completely both. You have your Staibhav. Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. We are an eternal servant of the Lord. That is absolutely, utterly fixed. But what type of service and what type of servant are you will depend on the company and association that you take. My Gurudev has said to me personally, directly, that I am like clay. He can mold me however he wishes. So the Staibhav is fixed, but it has to be inspired in the right direction. So Sonaka Rishi is being inspired by this tremendous Astakam that Narada Rishi is sharing with him. And he's moving through the different options, possibilities, so to speak. Vatsalya Prem. In this verse 4, his desire is just to see this Balagopal in the core of his heart. In the next verse, he only wants to see the face of Balagopal. So it's escalating each time. But all of this is by the mercy of Mahaprabhu that we are getting this. So that connection must never be neglected. It must be fully, because especially in Braj, there is so much rasik, udipan, stimulation around us for all the direct manifested holy places. It's like in Goradam, the places aren't so prominently manifest as they are here. You come to Radha-kunda and you see Radha-kunda, you see Shyamakunda, you see all the temples around. It's very, very clear. And you see all kinds of individuals who perhaps are not acknowledging Mahaprabhu sufficiently. And that's unfortunate. So when we see all these pastime places, how are we able to appreciate them without the mercy of Mahaprabhu? What is Mahaprabhu giving us simultaneously besides this Swabhakti Shriyam, the beauty? He's giving us our whole Guru Parampara. He's given us Rupa Goswami. He's enlisted Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari. Radhika's closest Manjaris have manifested to support Mahaprabhu's mission of benedicting the conditioned souls only in this small window. It's not a long time window, but this is going to be opened. My Gurudev said a few times, not just once or twice, he said a few times, this window is not going to be open. Shuddha Bhakti, what Advaita Acharya was propagating, Nityananda Prabhu was, that will go for 10,000 years, no problem. But this Braja Prem, Braja Ras, this is a much more limited window. 2 or 3 or 400 years maximum. So we must not neglect the opportunity. This Ujjvala Ras that Raghunath Das was just talking about. We must know its origin. It's coming from the heart of Krishna through the manifestation of Mahaprabhu. And we should know why. Krishna wants to taste as the Ashraya. That's what he wants to taste. So we have to be very clear on this. And clear on the 4 reasons why he advented and his 3 desires. There's 3 desires, they're separate. And there's 4 reasons why he advented, they are separate. We can post that on the thread. But I've been speaking this same thing for 20 years or so, more, 30 years. And so many devotees also still haven't become grounded in actually understanding the significance of this. Because I think once we realize Mahaprabhu's Kripa, then we're going to get Mahaprabhu's Kripa. When you see Mahaprabhu at the Baitak in Shamakund, you can get his Kripa more fully when you understand him and his purpose. Why we know he's Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritiya Hladini Shakti Asmat Ekatmanav. Radha and Krishna are one in the form of Mahaprabhu. So all these verses that, who gave this verse, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritiya? This is Swarup Damodar. And the verse after that, the one we said about the 3 desires, Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima, this is also Swarup Damodar. Who is Swarup Damodar? He's Lalita Sakhi. They're all supporting Mahaprabhu's mission to give us. And yet we're so complacent. We're so not really fully charged. We're kind of just hanging in and just doing our thing a little bit here and there. And yeah, jibba jabba, a few Hare Krishnas, and wandering around, reading a little bit and so on. Without the intensity, it's not going to happen. And the intensity will come when we are conversant with all these truths about Sachinandam Gaurahari. He will give us that intensity. So I just wanted to express that appreciation for Mahaprabhu initially, because today we're going to a very nice place in this Damodarastakam, in Radha-kunda Bhakti. So we concluded on a description of Rag on top of page 89. Rag is the unquenchable loving thirst for the object of one's affection that in turn gives rise to spontaneous and intense absorption in that object. Devotion that is performed with such rag is known as Rag Atmika Bhakti. So this was the last thing we read, then I had a coughing fit and we couldn't read anymore. So let's hope I can maintain today. So spontaneous, intense absorption in the object of one's love is referred to as rag. This intense absorption is definitely inspired through Nam, through Harinam, continuous Harinam. It will 1,000,000,000% inspire that intensity of consciousness. You've done long spells of Harinam. When you know that intense mood will come, where you're not distracted, you're not wasting any time. If you take a brat to chant 64 rounds in a day, you don't have time for much else. Certainly not in the enjoying market. Your mind becomes intensified. What to speak if you chant more than that? This gives the intensity that is required to break through the huge material illusory world that we're stuck in. I am a mother, I am a father, I am a brother, I am a sister, I am a man, I am a woman. All of these material identities, they're impressed upon us. I am a grihasta, I'm a tyagi, I'm a renunciant. These are all external. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in the 7th chapter of Jivadharma, a whole long list. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am so many different, I am fat, I am thin, I'm strong, I'm weak. So many different identities we carry. And then at the end, he has another paragraph with the second part, oh, this is mine, this is my house, this is my son, my husband. But we don't really believe it. We hear it in one ear, out the other. But when you're chanting sufficiently, when your mind has become sober with the intensity of the desire to enter into Braja Prem, the consciousness has to sober up. I wrote a little poem once a long time ago. I chant and chant, never hearing a sound, but the wheels of my mind rolling round and around. My prayer, dear Lord, is to sober up fast and put all this nonsense into the past. You know, it's all nonsense. The mind spinning its wheels with so many material desires that we have. Just over and over and perhaps we're fine-tuning our desires, but they're still material desires. You know? But with the mercy in the core from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can wake up that desire just to have done with it. Put all this nonsense into the past. Have done with it. Cross over the boundary into the spiritual dimension. It's there waiting. But we can't go there because we have doubts about it. Because we have more faith in this world than we do in that world. Of course we do. We've been brought in this world for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. This is the only world we know. But we hear every day of another world. Shraddha is that ingredient. Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Koi. This Vishvasa, what does that mean? It means confidence. Faith, strong, firm faith will give us the confidence to enter into that other domain, that other dimension, and stop all the doubts. The doubts come from what? Bhayam dvitiya viniveshitam syat isat upatasya viparayo shmiti. They come from fear, insecurities. And we all have it. Everyone has. But when we take shelter of Mahaprabhu and his process of Harinam and his process of our Guru Varga, this is also what Mahaprabhu is responsible for giving. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das is the Prayojanacharya. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami himself. He is like the 6 Goswamis. He resided here in Radha-kunda for about 60, 70 years. Longer. Just in Radha-kunda. He gave us Govinda Lilamrita. More than that, he even gave us the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is such a scholarly presentation. There are no flaws in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's no holes where you can pick. There's no discrepancies whatsoever. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, if all the books in the world were destroyed and yet there was still the Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything would be intact. Everything would be okay. If Chaitanya Charitamrita is there, everything else is okay. So this Chaitanya Charitamrita is the essence of the essence. We have the Adi Lila chapter 4. I've just been quoting these verses from the first Adi Lila. We start off with this 4th one. Anapita chirim chirat kurunavadite no kalo. We say every day. Samarapaitam unnata ujjvala rasam. This is what Krishna himself is tasting. And he's giving swabhakti shriyam. These are beautiful verses. And it's throughout the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Swami Prabhupada's edition is beautiful. He's included the whole of the Brahmara Gita in his commentary. He's included the whole of the Mahishi Gita at the end of the 10th canto. So many thick, deep, intense revelations are offered within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is the number one. Everything is explained by Krishnadas Kaviraj in such a sublime, beautiful way. So, spontaneous, intense absorption in the object of one's love is referred to as rag. And when Krishna Bhakti reaches this state of intense attachment, it is called ragatmika bhakti. Ragatmika. The door is open for everybody. Don't think, oh, I am so unqualified. We are unqualified. But it's like in Krishna Leela, my Gurudev describes, Krishna is ready to give Krishna Prem, but let me see your container, your pot, that I can put it in. But Mahaprabhu says, no, I will give you a container and I will fill it with the contents of this Braja Prem. Mahaprabhu is so merciful, so merciful. Look at this. This is the darkest depths of Kali Yuga. And yet we're hearing these topics by the mercy of Mahaprabhu. It's extraordinary. It takes our breath away. Thus, in brief, Ragatmika Bhakti is the loving thirst for Sri Krishna. The topmost example of Ragatmika Bhakti is found in the deeply loving emotions that the Brijvasis feel for Krishna, and devotion that is aimed at attaining this stage of Ragatmika Bhakti is called Rag Anuga Bhakti. So we are in the process of attaining that. We are Rag Anugas, we are followers of that. Those Nitya Siddhas, we are following that. And this is why this Damodarastakam is so ecstatic, because it really, really brings out the moods completely of the Brijvasis from the start to the finish. It's nothing but Braj Ras, this whole book. And this is what the Damodarastakam is actually presenting. This is why it's an eternal Astakam, because it's giving the very highest truth, if we can catch it and understand it and appreciate it. Every year we read it. I can remember listening to about 16 or 17 years of my Gurudev speaking these same topics, and it seemed that he never repeated himself. It seemed every year there was some fresher and fresher and fresher explanation of this Damodar Leela. So this is the beauty. Naveen Krishna, it's ever fresh. That's the nature of an eternal Shastra. It's never static, it's always ecstatic. That's how you know it's eternal and pure. It's called Raganuga Bhakti. Bhakti following in the wake of the Ragatmika Bhakti. Since the devotion of one following the Vaidhi Marg is dependent on the dictation of rules and regulations, it is weak. Every step you take in the path of Vaidhi, and Vaidhi Bhakti has its place most assuredly. Never think that that should be most of us are only eligible for Vaidhi Bhakti. We are performing Vaidhi Bhakti, but we have our focus on Raganuga Bhakti. But we're still following Ekadashi. We come to Mangalati, we do all the rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti, but our objective is service to Sri Radhika. So our objective change, but our actions are completely the same as Vaidhi Bhakti. Don't become like a Sahajiya Baba thinking that, oh, now I'm doing Raganuga Bhakti, I'll put all the rules and regulations away. That's nonsense, complete nonsense. That's going to please Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu was the most strict sannyasi. He would never even look at a woman. What to speak of converse with any woman? We have the example of Junior Haridas, expelled from his association for looking at the niece of an old lady. So Mahaprabhu's strictness is like iron. So don't think that Raganuga Bhakti is some sort of slack road. You know, if we haven't fully absorbed the precepts of Vaidhi Marg. But in Vaidhi Marg, everything is under consideration of the intelligence. Every step we take, I'm thinking, does Shastra support this? Is this correct thing to do? Then I'll do it. We're always thinking like that. But in Raganuga Bhakti, we just run, not even thinking where we're going to put our next foot. Since the devotion of following the Vaidhi Marg is dependent on the dictation of rules and regulations, it is weak. On the other hand, Raganuga Bhakti is entirely independent and therefore it is powerful by nature. Now, all of these are the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These teachings were never there before. It's Mahaprabhu who's giving us these teachings. The topmost example of anurag, incessant, deep, loving attachment for Sri Krishna, only exists in the hearts of the Brajavasis. The devotee should meditate on the associates of his beloved Lord Krishna, who have the same mood for which he aspires. Furthermore, he should remain absorbed in hearing, chanting, and remembering the names and pastimes of Sri Krishna in Braj that are conducive for his own particular mood. Each devotee should reside in Braj Mandal, following the associate who shares his own favored mood in the manner just described. So that takes time and meditation to appreciate even our own mood and flavor. What am I inclined to? What attracts me? What personalities speaking will attract me? Not all speakers are saying the same things with the same emphases. You can hear beautiful Bhagavatam recitals, but are they always being crowned with the beauty of Sri Radhika? There was never practically a class that my Gurudev didn't give which wasn't crowned with Sri Radhika. This is the school I'm coming from, you know? And this is the school I'm comfortable in. So if you're not comfortable, what to do? Those who aspire for a mood of friendship with Sri Krishna should follow the footsteps of his companions, such as Sridham and Subal. Those, Sridham and Subal, they're Priya Namsakas. This is a very high stage also. Those who desire to have parental affection for him should follow Sri Nanda and Sri Yasoda. And those who hanker for conjugal love with Sri Krishna should follow Sri Lalita, Vishaka, and so on. Those who want that conjugal relationship with Krishna, what's that called? Sambhog Ichamayi. This is not what Mahaprabhu's come to give. This is called Sakhi Bhav. Mahaprabhu hasn't come to give Sakhi Bhav. Who is the Sakhi that you're going to take shelter of? Ramananda Rai didn't start his own Vamsa, he didn't start his own dynasty. Swarup Damodar didn't start his own dynasty. They weren't initiating, starting their own line. So who is the Sakhi that you're going to get that lobe? Who's the lobi? The lobi means the person who's going to give you the lobe, the greed. No. But there are many, all the way down in our Gaudiya line. Goswami, we said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladevi Vibhushan, all these personalities. That's why it's so glorious every single day, at least once or twice a day, to recite our whole Guru Varga. Certainly when we first wake up in the morning, just to express our gratitude. Where am I without the Guru Varga? It's like I'm not plugged in. If I'm not plugged in to our Guru Varga, I'm just kind of floating. If I'm not actually initiated into this Gaudiya line, where is my connection? We want to plug into Rupa Goswami. We want to plug into these personalities. That means plug into that line. Thus, each devotee, according to his own mood, should immerse himself in the pastimes of Sri Krishna and live in Braj. It's like we see in Jaivadama, two personalities, Brajanath and Vijay Kumar. So Brajanath, he wants to go with Subal into the cow grazing pastures and look after the cows with Subal. He has a different mood. So we see in the way Jivadharma scrolls through, he doesn't come into the Gambhira teachings right at the end, because that's not what he wants. It's not his flavor, not what he wants. But Vijay Kumar, he goes right to the very end of that understanding. So yes, of course, there are different flavors are there. Mahaprabhu has come to give everything. But in principle, he's come to give this Svabhakti Shriya. Who is his principal associate? It's Rupa Goswami who's unpacking everything. So all the writings and teachings of Rupa Goswami are coming directly from Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has outlined this process of bhajan in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 294 and 295.
Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtam nija samihitam tatra kadha rataschaso puryad vasam vraje sada.
Very quiet today. Krishna smaram janam chasya prestam nija samihitam tat kata
rataschaso
kurya.
puryad vasam vraje sada.
It's beautiful verse. There's 3 particular verses that my Gurudev says are needed like stepping stones into bhajan. These are 2 of them here we're going to talk. The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with the dearmost associates of Sri Krishna, whom he chooses to follow. While permanently living in Braj, he should become attached to always hearing about them. If one is able to live in Braj by body, one should live in Braj by mind. But that's an interesting statement, and I think I've told before the story in Miami one time when our dear Bhaktivedanta Padmanabh Maharaj was speaking on the verse Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi, and he said in front of a large assembly, oh, if you can't come in Braj, then you come by mind. And my Gurudev was just sitting close by, and he said into the microphone, no. And Padmanabh Maharaj was like, what'd he say? So he said it again, and again Gurudev said, no. And then Padmanabh Maharaj, he turned to Gurudev, and then my Gurudev said, how can you desire to live in Braj by mind and not actually come here? The feet go where the heart goes. The feet will follow the heart. If the heart is in Vrindavan, the feet will follow the heart. If we're actually able to live in the heart, the feet are going to follow the heart. And certainly in the Western world, there's plenty of money. That's all the Western world seems to be making is money. Even if it's fake or whatever, but they still make it. But, you know, the accessibility of the Dham is very simple today. We have, I mean, how was it like 500 years ago? Did they have planes and stuff like that? You'd have to go on what did Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada do? He took an ocean liner across the Atlantic, you know? So we have all this instant facility. Why shouldn't we use it? If our hearts are in Braj, our feet will follow. Okay, Seva Sadhaka.
Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tadbhava lipsuna karya vrajalokanusarataha.
These 2 verses are very important. He who has developed greed for Ragatmika Bhakti should closely follow the footsteps of the particular associates in Braj, whose moods he aspires for. Under their guidance, he should engage in service both in his external form as a sadhak and internally as his perfected spiritual body, with his perfected spiritual body. So we'll carry on tomorrow into this very deep explanation about bhajan, because that's what my Gurudev is revealing here. Because Satyabhrata Muni, he doesn't want Navada Bhakti. He doesn't want Vaikuntha Prem. He doesn't want moksha. So what does he want? What's left? It's bhajan of Radha and Krishna is all that's left. So this is what my Gurudev is supporting and explaining here. So Damodarastakam ki jai, Go Premanande. So I think we were on to page 90.
Yes.
This is where we started from.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just see if we can just read right through, and I'll make a few comments and we'll progress. So in principle, we've come through the first verse, which was establishing the Mangalacharyan in the first line, Namamishwaram Svachitananda Rupam. And then we were entering straight into the Leela, where Mother Yashoda's catching Krishna from behind. So this is an extraordinary Leela of this sort. Never heard of previously, in a sense. This is very rasik pastime, very confidential, madhurya mood. So who could have really understood this in its depth at the time without the mercy of Sachinandan Gaurahari, who opened the door to the current, the river of Madhurya appreciation manifesting in this world. Because prior to Mahaprabhu, as we said the other day, there was practically no support for Rag Marg. It wasn't prominent at all in the world. Mahaprabhu brought that gift through Madhavendra Puripad and Ishvara Puripad. So that first verse is the Leela. Second verse, Rudantam Muhur. Krishna's rubbing his eyes. Now we get again engrossed in that particular Leela, the one Leela. We've described this as called Mantra Upasana, when we're hearing just the one Leela. Then the third verse is Swarasiki Upasana, when many, many Leelas are being reminded through the Iti Driksva Leela Bhya Ananda Kunde. This Ananda Kunde, this kund filled with bliss, and all the blissful pastimes Krishna is relishing, and the Brijbasis are relishing in their reciprocation with each other. And then now this Varam Deva Moksham, this wonderful verse where Satyabrat Muni is proclaiming he doesn't even want Navada Bhakti. So now we're going into the precepts of Bhakti. What is Bhakti? What is Shuddha Bhakti? What is Moksha? What is Vaikuntha Bhav? Etc. So this is what Satyabrat Muni is rejecting. And he's only wanting to see that beautiful form of Balagopal in his heart. That's his desire. So we come on the top of page 90, and we'll just read this through. So if you want to chant Janam Kastya.
Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtam nijasamihitam tattat kadharataschaso kuryad vasam vraje sada.
The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with the dearmost associates of Sri Krishna, whom he chooses to follow, while permanently living in Braj. He should become attached to always hearing about him. If one is unable to live in Braj by body, then one should live in Braj by mind. So we've all heard the explanation of this. Okay, Seva Sadhak.
Seva sadhaka rupena siddhi rupena chatrahi tadbhavalipsuna karya vrajalokanusarataha.
He who has developed greed for Ragatmika Bhakti should closely follow in the footsteps of the particular associates in Braj whose moods he aspires for. Under their guidance, he should engage in service both in his external form as a sadhak and internally with his perfected spiritual body. So two considerations. There's our external practice of our sadhan, and then our internal reflection that will be manifest from that sadhan. So we must perform our sadhan very diligently. Chesta and kripa, the two fingers again. So we're performing the effort to attain the mercy, the kripa of Krishna. That kripa will manifest in the form of our realization of our spiritual form, that avaroha panta, that descending mercy from Krishna, which will be caused by the extremity of our efforts in our sadhan bhajan. If we choose, and all of us have a choice at every moment of our lives, every moment of the day, we have a choice to become more serious or not more serious. It's always our choice entirely. Krishna is just waiting for us to turn around and reciprocate with us. But we are the ones who are hesitating and wandering away into different illusory states within the material world. So these two aspects, chesta and kripa, effort and mercy from Krishna. The effort is going to be performed by the sadhak, and the kripa, that's going to give, that's the mercy of the Lord. He will give that. If the sadhak longs to attain the fully blossomed mature stage of prem, he should take to heart the instructions of Sri Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das is the Prayojanacharya. He's the Prayojan. He lived here in Radha-kunda for more than 50 years. And he lived with Mahaprabhu for 14 years in Jagannath Puri, witnessing all the extraordinary bhavs that Mahaprabhu experienced. So he was carrying everything that is necessary for our progress.
Yadichheravasam rajabhuvi saragam pratijano riyuvadvandam tachet paricharitumārāda bhillashehe swarupam srirupam sahaganamiha tasyagrajamapi sputam premna nityam smaranamatatvam srunumanaha.
If you wish to live in the land of Braj, birth after birth, and if you crave the chance to perform direct service to the eternally youthful divine couple in their parakiya affairs full of rag, then, my dear mind, listen to me. Realize deep love for Sri Swarup Damodar, Sri Rupa Goswami, his older brother Sri Sanatan Goswami, and all their associates. Remember them for all eternity and offer your obeisances to them in adoration. My dear mind, please listen to me. So this is the guidance of Raghunath Das. He's telling us to take shelter of these personalities to inspire our bhajan, to inspire our remembrance of those great exalted practitioners, or rag-atmika bhaktas, not practitioners. They are fully realized, but still they have the example of their lives and their lifestyles that we can emulate. Not imitate, we emulate. Emulate means that we try to go in that direction. It is thus clear that attaining Brajabhakti is only possible by being under the guidance of the Brijabasis. This is the opinion of the Acharyas. How can, from something material, something spiritual manifest? It can't. We have to have the connection, like we've said so many times. There has to be the direct connection with those Brijbasis, or those who are immersed in the pastimes of Vrindavan and the gopis. Someone who wants Braj Bhakti will hear and chant according to his own specific mood. The following mantra, for example, enables devotees of all moods to relish the names, especially dear to them. According to their specific rasa, devotees will cherish one name in particular within this mantra. So one name will be relished by the devotees. Go ahead.
Sri Krishna Gopala Hare Mukunda Govinda He Nandana Kishora Krishna Ha Sri Yasoda Tanaya Prasidam Sri Vallavi Jivana Radhikesha.
Thank you. Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita 247. Sri Krishna Gopala Hari Mukunda Govinda, O youthful son of Nanda, O darling son of Sri Yashoda, be pleased with me. O life of the gopis, O master of Sri Radhika. We are looking to bring Krishna pleasure through all these different names of Krishna, all with different meanings, different moods. Actually, each name has a different mood associated with it. So one should engage in Shravanam and Kirtanam, but that Shravanam Kirtan should be of the names, form and qualities of Sri Krishna that are in relation to his pastimes in Braj. it should be performed while under the guidance of Rupanuga Vaishnavas, followers of Sri Rupa Goswami, Balagopal, followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. Balagopal, Yashoda's darling son, in Braj, can only be attained by this process. He can never be attained by performing the limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. So we explained this quite extensively yesterday. So in the audio, something is there. You can listen again. So we understand that Vaidhi Bhakti can never attain Braj. Because remember when Uddhav comes into Braj in Brahmaragit, Krishna gives him a spurti of seeing everything as it is when Krishna is present. The gopis are all cheerfully singing, the sakhas are chanting, where is the milk, bring the cow, to untie the calf. Everything is like a whole festival occasion in the fields, and everything is jubilant, fully joyful. Uddhav, he's witnessing this when he comes on the chariot at dusk into Braj. And then he suddenly sees Krishna coming out of a doorway. So what does he do? He offers Dandavat Pranams. They don't offer Dandavat Pranams in Braj. So when he offers his Dandavat Pranams and gets up, everything has collapsed back into the separation mood. Everything's gone back into Viraha, that place without Krishna. So it's a mood, that we are looking to catch up with. And when we read, when we hear, when we associate with those Rasik Vaishnavas in particular, our acharyas, through their writings and readings also, like it's not so easy to find Rasik Vaishnavas today particularly. Of course, they are always there, but not so prominent perhaps today. But we can hear the different classes from our acharyas who are most Rasik. We can read the commentaries of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We can hear about Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji. We can hear the teachings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. We can hear the direct classes of my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And this will inspire us into that world of Braj. Srila Haridas Thakur chanted 300,000 holy names every day. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself awarded him the title Namacharya, the most exemplary teacher of chanting the holy name. There's chanting the holy name, and there's entering into the sound vibration of the holy name. There's two considerations. You're chanting, you're performing your sadhan, and if that sadhan is pure enough sufficiently, it will carry you into a remembrance of your siddha deha, your principal perfected form. That's what it'll do. If we're chanting with a mood to listen to the sound vibration, to take shelter of the lotus feet of our Gurudev, then it will have that effect. But if we just chant with a mood filled with desire for liberation or moksha or even Vaikuntha, then we're going to be denied the highest principles. Although Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Das Goswami also performed bhajan, it is not written anywhere that they regularly chanted this many holy names. Srila Haridas Thakur's chanting and the chanting of the Goswamis each had their own unique speciality. So we have to appreciate this. The chanting of Haridas Thakur had so much special. Haridas Thakur was beaten in those 22 marketplaces by those Muslims, the Qazi, and he didn't stop his chanting, beaten until he gave up his body, apparently. He went into samadhi and then was thrown into the Ganga. But his whole mood was to benefit the people around him. That was his mood. This is Lord Brahma and Prahlad. It's a different mood. So we have to hear about these different personalities and their moods and their practices. In a similar sense, the descriptions of the love exhibited by Lakshmi Devi and the love exhibited by Srimati Radhika by Srivas Pandit, the crown jewel of devotees, and Mahaprabhu's intimate associate, and by Swarup Damodar respectively, each have their own unique specialities. At the time of Rath Yatra festival, Srivas Pandit tried to establish the glories of Lakshmi Devi's love for the Lord. But in response, Swarup Damodar established the supremacy of the love of his own Swamini, Sri Radhika. And we told the pastime about the Hira Panchami, when Srivas Thakur is glorifying the opulence of Lakshmi Dev in relationship just to the forest of Vrindavan. But then Swarup Damodar corrects him and says, don't you know all the flowers of Vrindavan, they're Chintamani, they can reveal billions of jewels. The trees are Kalpavriksha, the cows are Kamandenu. These are all most exalted, transcendental person. It's a universe of difference. And Srivas Thakur, he gets that and then reverts to the, or comes into the consciousness of being Madhu Mangal. This is Narada Rishi. And then he begins dancing around the song. It is also seen that when Pradumna Mishra came to Jagannath Puri, Sriman Mahaprabhu sent him to hear Krishna Katha from Sri Rai Ramananda, not from Srila Haridas Thakur, even though he was present in Puri at that time. Srila Haridas Thakur is the embodiment, is the combined form of Sri Brahma and Sri Prahlad, and his chanting of the holy name is absolutely pure. So don't ever think that they are inferior in any way. They have their own specific, unique qualities. Just like in this world, we have our own specific, unique qualities. Therefore, there should be never any cause ever for criticism of anybody. Everyone has their own path, and we should cultivate this quality of respect towards all sadhaks, all sincere sadhaks. And we will find that Swajatiya, Snigdha, Ashraya, that association that is most compatible for the moods that we want to bring out. Swajatiya means own mood, own group. Like if those people who want to be, for example, a manjari. So I like to be with those people. And Swajatiya Snigdha, who are affectionate to me. There must be affection there. And Ashraya, who are more senior. This is the best association. Swajatiya, Snigdha, Ashraya. This is the best association. Those in the same mood who want to understand the glories of the Brijbasis. This is what this whole commentary is bringing out, the Brijbasis' moods. Yes, all their chanting is absolutely pure. However, in any consideration, the particular moods or bhavs of the Vaishnavas are always the main factor in determining their exalted position. Everything depends on mood. My Gurudev would say this so often. What is the mood? What is the bhav? What is the atmosphere that has been created by the Harikatha? If in the Harikatha you're just being prominently told about the rules and regulations, don't do this, don't do that, if you do this, so on and so on, that becomes a little tedious after all. You're only told you're not the body or the spirit again and again and again. That also, for some, will become a little tedious to those people who want more Braj-flavored katha. So we have to pick our places. It's up to us. Sri Prahlad Maharaj is a Jnani Bhakta and can never ascend beyond Vaikuntha, although those with a thirst for Braj Bhakti offer their deepest respects to the bhajan performed by Sri Haridas Thakur. They always choose to follow Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. So if that's our mood, then we should follow these personalities. The topmost Rasik Brajbasi Goswamis always remained absorbed in Brajabhav, and in a mood of intense separation, they bathed in the nectarian ocean of Sri Krishna's Braja pastimes, day and night. So this is what we read from their teachings. We read the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. We read the teachings of Raghunath Das. We read the teachings of all of these personalities. What was their moods? What were they immersed in? We want to emulate that. Our sole aim is to perform bhajan under their guidance, taking their shelter, calling out to them, praying to them for guidance. The following statement has been heard directly from the mouths of some bygone worshipable Vaishnavas.
Bhairanga kar nama sankirtana, antaranga kar prema swadana.
In public, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would perform Nam Sankirtan. In private, with his most intimate internal associates, he would relish Braja Prem. So externally, the Sankirtan mission is manifesting prominently in the world. But internally, unless the sadhak is being very attentive to the direction of his chanting, that means what is the sadhya, what is the goal that he's cultivating? Where does he want to, what does he want to achieve? Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about our spiritually conceived of body. That body will be conceived according to our innermost desires. It will manifest in that way. It's there in potential, but how will it manifest without the focused direction of the activities that the Brijbasis are performing, if that's our goal? In the Gambhira, Sriman Mahaprabhu would relish Brajaras exclusively with Sri Damodar and Sri Rai Ramananda. These two most intimate associates of his would recite verses and songs according to his internal moods.
Aidina dayadranadha, he mathuranadha kadavyalokya se, hridayam tvadalokya kataram daita bhramyati kim karomyaham.
This is such a famous verse. Aidina dayadranadha he mathuranadha kadavyalokya hridayam tvad aloka kataram daita kimyatam. Daita Brahmite Kim Karomya Aham. What does this Kim Karomya Aham mean? This is coming from the expression of kinkari. What is a kinkari? A kinkari is saying, what can I do? What can I do? What service can I perform? That's what a kinkari is. A kinkari in the group of Sri Radhika, they're always crying out, what can I do? What can I do? So Madhavendra Puripad, he chanted this verse at the time of his departure. Ai dina dayadri nadahe, mathuranath kalavayog. He's calling out in a mood of submission to Sri Radhika. Why? Because he's remembering another verse. He's remembering a verse from the 30th chapter of the 10th canto, when Sri Radhika is left by Krishna. Hey, Nata Ramana Prishta, Kwasi Kwasi Mahapuja. Dasyaste kripinaya me saki darshayan sanidim. Radhika has been left by Krishna. After they've walked through the forest, Radhika's mood of attachment, of affection for Krishna has reached its pinnacle, and suddenly Krishna has left. Hey Nata Ramana Prishta, Kwasi Kwasi Mahapuja. She's crying out like this. So Madhavendra Puri is remembering this verse, and he's singing this verse in response to that. This is very beautiful appreciation. Where does this verse come from? It comes from that inspiration. When Sri Radhika is calling out, oh, dear Lord of my life, I am so wretched, so fallen. You've left me here. Come and save my life. Oh, and this translation of this verse, O Master, your heart always melts because of your compassion for the destitute. O Lord of Mathura, when will I see you again? O beloved Lord of my life, because I was hankering so fervently to see you, my heart has become intensely restless. What shall I do now? Kim karomya aham. What shall I do now? This is the mood of a kinkari. So Madhavendra Puri is revealing his identity. Actually, it's a very interesting point that we've tried to understand the identity of Madhavendra Puri. In the Radha Ganadeshika Gaura Gandeshika Deepika, it's saying, of course, that Madhavendra Puri is the embodiment of a Kalpa Vriksha tree. But it doesn't mean he's a tree. It doesn't mean that's his identity as a tree. He's the embodiment of that mood of a Kalpa Vriksha tree that can just give munificently anything. But it doesn't mean he's a tree. So who is he? Who is his personality? So we asked Srila Gurudev this question one time, and he didn't give us an answer. And he told us that Srila Vamana Maharaj also didn't have a proper, clear answer for this. So it seems to be practically unknown what is the Siddhadeya of Madhavendra Puri. I don't know who that is. Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Maharaj, he also didn't say who that was. But he is the Prem Ankur, he's the seed of Bhav in this world for Mahaprabhu to connect with. But the actual identity of this person wasn't revealed clearly. But still, from this last part of this line, Kim Karomya Aham, what shall I do now? This must represent a mood of manjari. This must have a mood of deep longing to please Krishna. As did, so now, yes, we have another verse here from Krishna Karanamrita.
हे देव हे दैत हे भुवनैक बंधो हे कृष्ण हे चपल हे करुणैक सिंधो हे नारद हे रमण हे नयनाभिरामम हा हा कदानुभवितासि पदम पदाम दृशोर्मे.
Sri Krishna Karanamrita 40. My Gurudev is giving us all these udipans of verses. If it's really Brajaras that we want, if we really want to connect with the Brijbasis, this is the method to connect. By hearing these verses, by enumerating these verses, by remembering these verses, by making these verses very prominent in our meditation and remembering the significance of them. O my worshipful Lord, O dearest one, you are the only friend of the entire universe. O Krishna, O restless one, you alone are the ocean of mercy. O my master, O my lover, O charmer of my eyes, alas, alas, when will I behold your lotus feet? This is Bilva Mangala Thakur. He is calling like this to Krishna. Only Sri Rai Ramananda and Sri Swarup Damodar could understand the deep meanings of these verses, and only they could console Mahaprabhu when he was overwhelmed by the sharp pangs of his intense mood of separation from Krishna. In his commentary, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad has certainly indicated the great importance and speciality of the moods of the Raganuga Bhakti, over those of Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti, they don't discuss these things. Vaidhi Bhakti, they're concerned with the rules and regulations, and they're concerned with progress towards a glorified, liberated condition of perhaps Vaikuntha or even Dwarka. In Dwarka, they all revere the Lord as that supreme person, all in a mood of Aishwarya. But this mood of sweetness only manifests in Braj. This whole Damodarastakam is so rasik, it's so much Vrindavan. Everything about it radiates Vrindavan. So to access Vrindavan, we need to access through these mantras, through these verses, hearing these verses, remembering Rai Ramananda, remembering Swarup Damodar. As Raghunath Das has just indicated previously, Raghunath Das is the Prayojanacharya. He's telling us how to actually enter this world of Brajaras, Brajaprem, of Bhajan, how to do that. It means that the whole intoxication of the material world has sobered right down, where there's no more desire. You can't actually enter this whole meditation if you're still intoxicated with various desires in this material world. Just doesn't, the equation is not there, because it's not in this material world. It has nothing to do with this material world. If you're caught up in so much attachment to this world, how can you possibly access that other world? You're held by chains of desires in this world. And unless you purify and break those chains through greed, it's only through greed that we can do this lobh. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatamiti talabite. Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam. This lolyam, only by that greed to attain that place. That place is fully Vishuddha Sattva. This place is the Jad Jagat, the dull material world. If we're involved in so much in this world, how is it possible? It's not possible. The consciousness cannot go into that world. So that has to be put in place. All our various situations have to be reconciled with the prominence of my desire to achieve Braja Prem. That's all. It's not a big dramatic change necessarily. It's just that what is the prominent desire in my mind? Is it to make a nice, comfortable place here in this world for my sojourn of perhaps 80, 90 years or something like that? Is that what my main focus? To make some insurance for my old age and all this kind of stuff? Is that what I'm concerned about? Or am I actually looking to completely immerse my heart and consciousness in that spiritual reality? The Raga-nuga sadhaks should remember that our Goswamis are all Radha Pakshiya, those who identify themselves as being part of Sri Radha's intimate group. So we've said so many times, every single personality in our Guru Varga, they are all Manjaris. They have all revealed their Manjari identity. It's difficult to think how people can't go this road. Because who are we being guided by? We're only being guided from Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Who else is our guides? I don't know of any guides who are guiding us into a liberated condition in our line. Was Bhaktivinoda Thakur encouraging us to become liberated? Encouraging us to find happiness in family life and this material world? Were any of our acharyas slightly focusing in that direction? All are encouraging enthusiastically, take shelter of Srimati Radhika. This Manjari Bhav, because this is the gift directly, this Swa Bhakti Shriyam. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavatinokalam. This hasn't been given for a long, long time. Chirim Chirat. How long? How long a time, Harindu? How long? Huh?
Many years.
How long? Many years, 20 years, 30 years? How many years? How many years? 8,640,000,000 years. A whole day of Lord Brahma. This is what Anapita Chirim Chirat means. One entire day of Lord Brahma. We have that chart. And that chart shows very, very clearly there are 14 Manvantaras in the day of Lord Brahma. One day equals 4,340,000,000 years. It's divided into 14 Manus. And in each Manu there are 71 cycles. Satya, Treta, Dvapakali, Satya, Treta, Dvapakali. 71 times. It's a long, long time. So if you take the night into consideration also, that's another 4,320,000,000 years. So the total time, Krishna always manifests only once in the day of Lord Brahma. He manifests many avatars, but Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar only comes once to taste his sweet leelas, like this Dambanda Leela. Only once he does that. And straight after that, every single time, comes Sachinandan Gaurahari to explain who was that Krishna who just came 5,000 years before. Because nobody knew what Krishna was really doing on the planet, or his identity, who he was, the loving relationship. Krishna wants to benefit the conditioned souls with an impression of the purity of sweetest madhurya, love, because that's the highest conception in the spiritual realm. He wants to give everyone that. If you've got something really nice, you want to share it with people, right? So Krishna wants to share that, but it's only once in the day of Lord Brahma. That's what it means, anapita chirim chirat, not for a long, long time. And then what is the next line? Samarpayitam unnata ujvala rasam. This is what Krishna himself wants to taste, this ujvala prem. This unnata ujvala. Unnata means brilliantly shining prem. Only Krishna can taste that directly, but he wants to give the jiva service to that. This swa bhakti shriyam. Swa means own, Krishna's own bhakti. What is Krishna's own bhakti? It's Radhika. Krishna is devoted to Radhika. And what is the beauty of Radhika is her manjaris. This is why Mahaprabhu has advented. The acharyas, the commentators, they've all explained this so clearly. I find it difficult that people can actually think otherwise. How can we go in another direction except this direction? What other direction is there except moksha? Satyabhama Muni, he's saying, I don't want any of that. I only want to see the beautiful smiling face of Balagopal. That's all he wants. We only want to connect with our Guru Varga, who is directly giving us this Swabhakti Shriyam, service to Unnata Ujvala Ras, in the form of Manjari Bhav. That's what Mahaprabhu gave. And that always comes 5,000 years after Krishna. Every single day of Lord Brahma, this happens. Rupanuga Sadhak should remember that our Goswamis are all Radha Pakshya. All of them. Who is not? Tell one. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is Vinod Manjari. Or sometimes they say Champak. No, that's Narottam. Narottam is Vilasa Manjari. Sometimes they have two names. And all the personalities, they're all Manjaris. That means the dedicated maidservant of Sri Radhika. They are only pleased when Sri Krishna becomes so absorbed in thinking about Sri Rishabhanu Nandini, Sri Radha, and his darkish complexion becomes golden like hers. Now this is a verse by Sri Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Radha Chinta.
Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kantir Vilopita Sri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Lingita Vigraham.
This is from Sri Radha Vinod Bihari Tatvastakam. This is by Vinod Manjari. Vinod Manjari is Param Gurudev. Is Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. When Srimati Radhika was in Man, Sri Krishna, in the mood of intense separation from her, became so completely immersed in thinking about her that his own darkish complexion became golden like hers. I adore the lotus feet of that most glorious form of Sri Krishna. When did this happen? You remember when Krishna, we've just described that pastime, when Radhika is saying, Hey Nata Ramana Preshta, Kwasi Kwasi. Then Krishna leaves her. Where does he go? He goes to Imlital. He sits under that tree in Imlital and takes on a golden yellowish hue. Actually, Lalita, she sees him at that time. That's the first time Krishna manifests, like the prototype, we can say, of Sachinandan Gaurahari, and sits under that same Imli tree that we have there today. 5,000 years ago, he was immersed in thoughts of Sri Radhika. So his bodily complexion changed accordingly. So Radhika, she had that mood of separation in the place where Nityananda Bhatt is today. What's the other name of Nityananda Bhatt? Huh? Shringavat. In Shringavat is where actually Krishna left Radhika, because just around the corner from there is Imlital. So we see on the parikrama, when we go to Sringaravat, Nityanandavat, and then just around the corner from there is Imlital, where Krishna sat. And Mahaprabhu, he sat there and chanted when he came. So it's all connected. Krishna and Mahaprabhu is all connected. Everything is connected. So this Radha Chinta Niveshanam Yasya Kantya Vilopita. When Srimati Radhika was in Man, Sri Krishna, in a mood of intense separation from her, became so completely immersed in thinking about her that his own darkish complexion became golden like hers. I adore the lotus feet of that most glorious form of Sri Krishna. The sadhak should develop an intimate relationship with his guru. He should have such profound affection for his guru's external sadhak form, as well as for his internal siddha, perfected form, that he becomes intensely attached to him. His attachment should be similar to the natural worldly attachment one ordinarily has for well-wishing relatives or close friends. Something natural, not something unnatural. Always bowing down, bowing down, bowing. Is that natural? So much Aishwarya, you can't even get close. Is that natural? That Aishwarya must be there, otherwise it'll just come into familiarity. That Aishwarya indicates deepest respect. Just like in Braj, there's so much Aishwarya, but it's covered by more Madhurya. And I've told you many different examples from being with my Gurudev when this individuals would demonstrate this. The sadhak should develop an intimate relationship with his guru. He should have such... Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, his main teaching was Guru Nishta. Guru Nishta. He taught my Gurudev the same. My Gurudev would always teach. Guru Nishta is the backbone of our devotion. This Guru Nishta. Without that Guru Nishta, then we're helpless. His attachment should be similar to the natural worldly attachment one ordinarily has for well-wishing relatives or close friends. This type of natural relationship with one's guru is called Lokik Sat Bandhavat Sambandha. The sadhak should accept that it is his guru alone who can fulfill all his most cherished spiritual desires. That is the only way he can enter into Rupa Nuga Bhajan. There is no other way. There's a footnote here I'm going to read. Rupa Nuga Vaishnavas are those who follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. The internal devotional service they perform in accordance with Sri Rupa Goswami's teachings is called Rupa Nuga Bhajan. If we're following Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilamani, Vedanta Madhav, Lalita Madhav, all these books of Rupa Goswami, then we're following in the wake of Srila Rupa Goswami. Who is Rupa Goswami? Rupa Manjari. He's the closest maidservant to Sri Radhika. We want to follow that principle, that line. That is where we're going. Where else are we going? What else is there? My Gurudev would often reach this place and then say, what else is there? Well, where else can you go? Moksha? What is left outside of Radha-dasyam? Because this is the exclusive gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are so indebted to Mahaprabhu. Sriman Mahaprabhu instructs sadhaks who are inclined towards this high class of bhajan. What is the principle? Go ahead.
Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi.
I think I've mentioned many times before that one time we came to Radha-kunda with my Gurudev. It must have been earlier on, 96, 97, something. And Radha-kunda is filled with many, many conceptions. There are many different Babajis here of all different moods, flavors, etc. Some are inclined towards Sakhi Bhav, although I don't know which Sakhi that they're following, who's giving that line, that Loba line. And we were sitting in the Radha-kunda Bihari Mutt, which is called the Damodar Mutt, just when you enter. And my Gurudev called us all to him and he said, now I'm going to give you your Siddha Pranali. So, oh, wow, very nice, very nice. So we all sat really close. Then he said, Trinada pi sunichena, tarora pi suhishina, amanina manadena. This is the current, this is the backbone, because it's the antithesis of material consciousness. Material consciousness is based on pride. How good am I? How wonderful am I? How erudite am I? How intelligent am I? How powerful am I? We're thinking like this. That's the material false ego. We desire to enjoy matter. So Lord Shivji gives us the false ego so that we can make the attempt to enjoy matter in all varieties of ways. And the principal driving or sustaining point of that identity is pride. Pride and envy, they're both synonymous. Whereas prema and humility are on the other side. So that's where the sadhak wants to lean towards that side. Humility. Humility is the greatest ornament. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said we should carve this in a verse on a piece of wood and wear it in a locket around our necks, always remembering this verse. I said before, it's the pillar that the Krishna Seva Vasana climbs on, this Bhakti Lata Bij, this creeper of devotion. A creeper has to climb on something. So this pillar is our Trinada piece. My Gurudev would quote this verse practically at minimum one time every single day. Every single day he would quote this verse. Sometimes 3 or 4 times. He knew that this is the verse that needs to be injected into the conditioned soul's consciousness the most. And we see in this Shikshastakam, Mahaprabhu is laying out all these different verses, 8 verses, and they're all fueled. We see it if we go through the Shikshastakam by a mood of humility, increasing humility all the way through. Where in the 5th verse, Mahaprabhu takes on the identity of Sri Radhika, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Kinkaram, again, that same word, Kinkari, is there. He becomes like, he wants to be that Kinkari. Ainanda. So that's there. In every respect, the sadhak should see himself as more lowly and helpless than the most insignificant trampled blade of grass, and becoming even more tolerant than a tree, expecting no honor for himself, he should give due respect to all. In this way, the sadhak should always perform Harinam Sankirtan. So, we finish on that verse today. Very beautiful meditation. So this Damodarastakam is really leading us into a nice meditation, beautiful consciousness. So Damodarastakam ki jai. Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. We'll come back to our subject of the Damodarastakam. And we've almost finished the chapter actually, but there's quite a lengthy footnote here. So we'll So now we come, we've been discussing the speciality of Shuddha Bhakti, not just Shuddha Bhakti, but Braja Bhakti, and the nature of the Brijbasis. And we've had the greatest fortune today to describe the pastime of Giriraj Govardhan in connection with the moods of the Brijbasis and their activities with Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar. So it really complements what we've been reading about. My Gurudev has been describing, encouraging us to enter more deeply a focused place of internal bhajan. We have Vaidhi Bhakti and Achan, which is like an external aspect of the limbs of bhakti. But that's not going to take us to the highest conception of Goloka Vrindavan. Certainly, we're not going to appreciate the speciality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gifts if we remain in that Vaidhi mood. We are performing Vaidhi Bhakti, but with the intention of attaining Raganuga Bhakti. So we are Rupanuga, Raganuga, Vaidhi Bhaktas. Or we can say Vaidhi Bhaktas, Rupanuga, Raganuga. We're focusing on that direction. We have to have that fixed attention and focus beyond Vaidhi Bhakti. That has to be clear. So we've been describing many incredible teachings in that direction, all fueled and empowered by Mahaprabhu and his associates, Swarupa Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. All our Guru Varga have all supported this mood, because basically it's Radharani's line. Radharani wants to facilitate Krishna's desires to taste her moods. Anything that Krishna wants, Radharani wants to support that. Anything. Radharani, every atom of her being is only focused on pleasing and fulfilling the desires of Krishna. So if Krishna wants to taste her moods, then Radharani and if Krishna wants to benedict the world once in the day of Lord Brahma, and how many years in the day of Lord Brahma, Harindu?
How many?
Years?
In a day of 8,640,000,000.
Well done. So one boy is listening here, and he got the answer pretty much right on the head. Very good, very good. So that's the day of Lord Brahma. Krishna only comes once, and Mahaprabhu only comes once afterwards to explain who was Krishna previously. Otherwise, no one would know who was Krishna. So now we've come back to our subject matter here, and on page 95, we're at the bottom of this now. So I'll just read the last translation of the last paragraph on page 95, just to connect us where we were previously. Actually, the last thing we were talking was saying Trinada Pi Sunichena, this powerful, powerful, powerful Shikshastikam mantra, Trinada Pi Sunichena. Without this, the embodiment of this, because we are the total contradiction of this in this world. We're proud of everything. We're proud of our shoes, we're proud of our cars, we're proud of our hairstyles, we're proud of our eyesight, we're proud of our bodies. Anything, any opportunity to be proud, we'll jump at it. Yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. No. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that as the colossal affair of samsara. So the antithesis of that is humility. And it's embodied in this verse, Trinada Pi Sunichena, that we should chant and reflect on and remember moment by moment by moment. Like as you do various prikramas and so on, you might just take a certain part of that parikrama, and every time you do it, if you do the parikramas regularly, you can think, well, every time I'm here walking around this particular place, I'll say this verse. Or in the day at a particular time, perhaps just before you take prasad, say this verse. Or perhaps just before you take rest at night, say this verse. Do what we call a rain check on it. Just examine your heart. Am I becoming humble? We have to do it 3 times a day is best, because we're so dull and we're so proud of any type of material accomplishment we might achieve in this world. We think it's my doing. That puts us in the unqualified school. Completely. Automatically. We're trying to access the moods and nature of the Brijbasis. So in every respect, the sadhak should see himself as more lowly and helpless than the most insignificant trampled blade of grass, and becoming even more tolerant than a tree, expecting no honor for himself, he should give due respect to all. In this way, the sadhak should always perform Harinam Sankirtan. Doesn't matter how many times we say this, we'll just forget it in the next 30 seconds. That's why we have to say it repeatedly. We are so dull. I have to tell myself, you are stupid. I have to tell myself that I am stupid. Every day we have to reinforce that, because it'll get away with us, because the taste and sweetness of reputation is like tantalizing. Oh yes, everyone will love me, everyone will think I'm a great person or something. And then you've lost the focus of glorifying Krishna. It's a very subtle, skinny little connection, actually. It's a very small hole that we have to go through to make this connection with the Lord and that transcendental world. Okay, so on the bottom of 94, during his pastimes in Dwarka, Sri Krishna himself exemplified this instruction of Sri Gaurahari, humility. In one incident in particular, his conduct exemplifies this instruction. That incident goes like this. Once Durvasa Rishi arrived in Dwarka. Durvasa literally means he who subsists solely on the juice of durva grass. At that time, Sri Krishna was sitting in his palace. As soon as Durvasa Rishi arrived, Sri Krishna exclaimed, As soon as Durvasa Rishi arrived,
Before Sri Krishna.
Durvasa Rishi arrived before Sri Krishna. He explained, I am very hungry. Make arrangements to feed me. However, the moment his meal was ready, he went away. This is Durvasa. He's like a cantankerous yogi. At midnight, he suddenly returned and asked for his meal, which was then served to him. When he had eaten only a little bit, he turned to Sri Krishna and said, smear this half-eaten sweet rice on your body. Silently, Krishna smeared the half-eaten sweet rice over his entire body. He smeared it everywhere except on the soles of his feet. The residents of Dwarka looked on infuriated, but they could not say a word. I want to ride around in a chariot pulled by Rukmini, he said Durvasa Rishi. After Sri Krishna made the arrangements for this, Durvasa Rishi demanded that Sri Krishna become the charioteer. Sri Rukmini dragged the chariot along until on the verge of fainting. She fell to the ground. Upon seeing this, the residents of Dwarka were unable to tolerate any more. So Durvasa abruptly jumped from the chariot and fled. Sri Krishna began searching for him and calling out his name. Krishna wasn't disturbed, he was just tolerating it. Durvasa Rishi again appeared. O Dwarkadish, he said, even among the demigods I have never seen anyone so self-composed and tolerant. Surely you are the Lord and benefactor of the Brahmanas, Brahman Deva. I have enacted this pastime just to establish your honor throughout the three worlds. O Sri Krishna, on my order you smeared my half-eaten sweet rice all over your body, everywhere except the soles of your feet. Your whole body has now become as strong as a thunderbolt, but the soles of your feet are weak and susceptible to being wounded. So we know the Leela. At the very end, when Krishna is leaving this world, the hunter Jara, he comes and he sees the sole of Krishna's foot and he thinks it's a deer because it's reddish. And he aims that arrow. The arrowhead is made from that iron club that Durvasa cursed Samba, the boy, who was making himself look pregnant, to have an iron club as a child. And the boys, they pulled the cloth back and there was this iron club. So they they ground it down to iron filings. But there was a tiny little nugget left that they couldn't grind. That was thrown into the sea. And Jara's wife, she caught that fish. And then she found that piece of iron inside the stomach of the fish. She gave it to her husband, who fashioned it into an arrow. And then her husband was searching for a deer. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, this is so much just arranged Leela. How would a hunter be hunting in a forest where more than 580 million people had just been killed in a fratricidal war between each other. The Vrishnis, the Bojas, etc., they'd all apparently become drunk, and they'd all fought each other, and they'd killed each other with those sharp bamboo canes that contain the rest of the iron filings. So when you've had all that devastation around, you think a deer would be hanging around in that area of that commotion and noise? Absolutely not. But Jara, pushed by the potency of the Lord, was there with his arrow, and he saw the reddish heel of Krishna, and he shot the arrow into it. And this was the excuse for Krishna to leave the world from the manifested vision of personalities like Lord Brahma. That's where he leaves, according to the Devas. They all think he leaves this world according to that time, because he'd already purified the planet by winding up his relatives. He couldn't leave all the Yadus and Bojas and Vrishnis behind, because they were very, very powerful personalities. They would have created chaos on the planet. They all had to be annihilated. There was no other way to annihilate them except by themselves. Their own prowess and potency could annihilate each other. So they all killed each other. And that's how Krishna liberated those souls from the planet. And himself appeared to go, actually he returns to Mathura, and he kills Dantavakra in Mathura. Then he comes to Vrindavan, and he stays in Braj for a little while, and then he takes all the Brijbasis back to Goloka Vrindavan. So he has two disappearances, just like he has two appearances. He appears in Mathura, and he appears in Gokul. But he disappears Prabhash, where this pastime takes place, near Dwarka, in Gujarat, actually, on the land of Gujarat. And then he comes back to Mathura. So 2 deaths, 2 births, 2 mothers, 2 fathers. Is this God or not? He can do that. And devotees can accept it. Why? Because they chant Hare Krishna. If you don't chant Hare Krishna, all poppy stories, what they call mythological. But devotees, no. This is actually the reality. Krishna began searching for him and calling out, oh yes, I read that. I have enacted this pastime just to establish your honor throughout the 3 worlds. Sri Krishna, on my order, yes, I read all that. And susceptible to being wounded. Sri Rukmini Devi, he continued, I am very pleased with you, seeing your devotion for the Supreme Lord and your extreme tolerance. This is like Chandravali. Extreme tolerance. Radharani would not have tolerated this. I am compelled to bless you. Radharani probably wouldn't. Actually, Radharani had the benediction from Durvasa. That's how she could feed Krishna every day. Durvasa figures everywhere in all the different leelas. I am compelled to bless you. Durvasa Rishi then blessed her, saying, you will be the most exalted of all the chaste ladies in the world, and you will have everlasting fortune. This pastime teaches the sadhak the importance of tolerance and patience. Interesting, today we're talking about tolerance and patience, and the embodiment of this in this world was this Bhakti Kusum Shmaran Goswami Maharaj. He was described, there was a story when he was attacked verbally by a very crazy devotee, and he didn't say anything. And the devotees were very angry with this devotee who was criticizing so strongly. And then for the next 2 or 3 days, this devotee was going to all the other devotees and criticizing him more and more and more. And then it's described, a snake fell on his head from a cupboard and bit him on the face, and within a few moments he was dead. And Bhakti Kusum Sarang Maharaj, he was very unhappy for that. That was his humility. He was showing, just like in Jaivadama, when Vaini Madhav gets bitten by the snake. And old Babaji is very sad, actually, even though he caused so much problem. Babaji. So this is real humility and tolerance. Even the slightest mistake in one's dealings can result in an offense to the Vaishnavas, and thus cause bhakti to disappear forever. Leaving aside all other benedictions, Sri Satyabrat Muni is praying that Sri Krishna's Balagopal form remain manifest within his heart forever. He only wants the form of Sri Damodar to appear there. So that's the end of my Gurudev's commentary on this fourth verse. There's a very long footnote here that the devotees can read themselves on page 97, 98, 99. Next 5 pages, which are very enlightening, which we'll see, maybe read tomorrow or not. But hopefully we'll just go into verse 5. We want to obviously complete this book during our Kartik Parikrama, but I think on Monday, perhaps it is, there's the Tirobhav of Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj and Srila Trivikram Maharaj. The next day is the Tirobhav of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and that'll be on Tuesday. And then after that, there's the disappearance day of Bhakti Swarup Siddhanti Maharaj is the next day. So we have 3 disappearance days next week that we will obviously have to honor. So I think we're making pretty good progress. My Gurudev used to say every year at around this stage of the Kartik, because we would have a group of almost 2,000 Westerners sometimes, and many Bengali and Indian devotees, and he would always be thankful on this particular day that no unfavorable accident had taken place, that all the devotees had been protected by the various catastrophes that could happen in a large group driving all around on the rough roads in India, etc. So he was always very grateful for the mercy shown towards the devotees by Purnamasi Devi, by all the higher powers that would safeguard his devotees. So my Gurudev would always, he didn't take it for granted that yes, everything is going fine, we have no problem. He always knew it was by the Lord's mercy that we had no problem. So Damodarastakam ki jai, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Girirani Maharani ki jai, Haridasa Varya ki jai, Gop Premanande. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gau Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavayavcha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavai Namo Namaha.